Okay, sorry about that. If you were watching my previous stream, I got a message through YouTube that there was this possibly copyrighted content on my stream, which might it said copyright, and as soon as I saw copyright, I thought, that's it, I'm stopping this whole thing and starting again. I made the previous one private. If you do want to watch it, I do have the link. If you want, I'll send it to you by email so you can watch it privately. But we can carry on. I got the next one all lined up today. This one is called, okay, this is where Israelis and Palestinians, it's called Israelis and Palestinians turn to one-state solution, and it's definitely worth a watch and a listen. And if I get a copyright on this one, I'll do the same thing, all right?
I'm Leah Terechansky with the Real News in Tel Aviv, Israel. On Thursday, November 14th, the two chief negotiators of the Palestinian Authority quit the talks that began last summer. But appointed Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas says the negotiations will continue without the negotiators. The PLO released the following statement. This resignation relates only to the current negotiations team. It does not invalidate the commitment made by the Palestinian Liberation Organization to continue negotiations until the end of the 9-month period agreed with Israel and the U.S., which ends on April 29, 2014. The talks, which began last July under extreme criticism, are about the latest in what is known as the Oslo peace process that began in 1993 after the first Palestinian uprising. In a much talked about op-ed in the New York Times, Ian Lostick writes about the U.S.-mediated talks, saying, while the vision of thriving Israeli and Palestinian states has slipped from the plausible to the barely possible, one mixed state emerging from the prolonged and violent struggles over democratic rights is no longer inconceivable. Michel Varshavsky was involved in the establishment of many peace movements in Israel and is the author of half a dozen books on the subject. He spoke to the Real News from the Alternative Information Center in Jerusalem, which he co-founded.
כשהסכמי אוסלו פורסמו, נפתח ויכוח מאוד סוער בקרב השמאל. הציבור השמאלי, וזה, אני מבדיל בין הציבור השמאלי או הציבור המתון בישראל, היה באפוריה. היה באמת לתקופת מה באמונה שאנחנו רואים את קצה המנהרה. בתוך השמאל בעצם היו 4 דעות. אורי אבנרי שביטא את הרוב בשמאל, אמר, זה הסכם טוב, זה הסכם שמביא לפתרון, מביא לשתי מדינות, ולכן יש לתמוך בו. הייתה עמדה קיצונית הפוכה, שהיה לנו במרכז, או בעצם עוד לא היה מרכז, הוא מצפן, שהייתה עמדה מאוד קטנה, אבל מאוד ווקלית, שאמרה, הסכמי אוסלו זה מניפולציה, זה קטסטרופה, זה מלכודת, שבא לשתף את הפלסטינים בעצם בהמשך הכיבוש, על ידי חלוקת תפקידים, הם יהיו כוח המשטרה, כוח השיטור, תמורת הם יהיו גם אחראים על ה-well-being של הפלסטינים, על הבריאות, על החינוך. הם משחררים את ישראל בעצם מהאחריות שלהם, מבלי בעצם לערער על השליטה הממשית ועל תהליך הקולוניזציה. זאת הייתה העמדה השנייה. והייתה עמדה באמצע, שזו העמדה שאני דגלתי בה, שאמרה זה הסכם לא טוב, אבל זה מה שיש, וצריכים ללכת עם זה, ולדחוף את זה קדימה. והייתה עמדה אחרת, בודדה, ואולי כנראה היא הייתה נכונה, של מנטי פלט, בן אדם אחד בודד. אני זוכר את הדיונים האלה, היה לנו כמה פעמים בשבוע. ומנטי היה אומר, אתם טועים ואתם טועים, רבין בכלל לא מתכוון לממש את הסכמי אוסלו. התגובה של דוברי מחנה השלום הישראלי, the mainstream, מחנה השלום, הייתה, עכשיו זה שהכי טוב ינצח. עכשיו זה משא ומתן, אנחנו לא נתערב. אם ישראלים יסחטו מהפלסטינים יותר, מה אפשר לעשות? זה המשא ומתן. כאילו שזה שני צדדים שווים, אבל מעבר לזה. ברגע זה התחילו להתגייס, הימין התגייס בצורה מדהימה.
Warshawski is not alone in this position. Each
I can't hear you. Can you?
All right. Okay, we got the room going.
You're not streaming though now, are you?
Yeah, well, of course I'm streaming.
Are you streaming this?
Were you watching on YouTube?
Yeah.
Well then, yeah. Well, I'm not streaming this. I'm streaming the audio right now. I'm not streaming the video. But the thing is that if I didn't stop the video, then they'd be hearing the video plus they'd be hearing us. Yeah, you see what I mean? So I'm quite willing to just stop the video and carry on in this room. How about that?
That's fine with me. I don't care. I just saw the link. Thought I'd hop in.
Yeah, no problem. You're more than welcome to stay, and I'll switch over the video part of it to this room if I can find where I put
You
it.
could
Just give me 1 sec.
you could just put us off to the side. Maybe I don't know. I never operated this way.
Ah, there it is. I think I got it. There we go. Okay, look at this. Look at that. There we go. There's the room. It's on the screen. Oh, it'll be on your screen in 2 seconds on YouTube. So, did you catch any of the beginning? And if so, great.
I caught this brief part where the Palestinians withdrew from the process.
Yeah, the Palestinians, they don't know what to do, because what they want essentially is everything that everywhere that Israel is now is what they want their Palestine to be, which of course is a little bit dreamlandish. It's not going to happen, but that's what they want. That's what that's the least they'll settle for. So that is why I support a one-state solution, in that all of everything within the borders of the land of Israel, which is everything west of the Jordan River, except for the Golan Heights, which is included in Israel and has been since the 1947 partition plan. I believe that everything to the west of the Jordan River should just be Israel. End of story. In terms of the Arabs wanting their state, and they want to call it Palestine, in 1947 they had we both had the Jews and the Arabs both had an equal opportunity for a state. One which the Jews took advantage of and called it Israel, and one which the Arabs declined, which they could have if they had accepted it and called it Palestine, and then we wouldn't be in this position today. But they didn't. They declined it. In fact, they went one step further. They amassed armies, national armies, and attacked the nascent state of Israel. Very, very unsportsmanlike, and they got their asses handed to them. They lost. And they lost most of the territory that would have been theirs in the first place.
Well, they got the Sinai back.
The Sinai was never Israel's. The Sinai always belonged to Egypt. There's never any argument over who the Sinai belongs to.
It was occupied by Israel for a short while.
1973.
And Gaza was occupied too. Israel of Gaza as well.
Gaza was occupied since 1967 until I think 2005.
Right, but they left it.
And then they left it. You see, the thing is, you look at Gaza, and you'll see a little idea of what would happen if the Palestinians were actually given something that they wanted. Because Gaza is what they wanted. And Gaza is what they got. And Gaza is what they got. What they did with it is horrific. What they did with what they got from Israel, who had set up, they'd set up everything, all the infrastructure for agriculture, for tourism, for they built them airports. They had a country, and you know what the Arabs in Gaza did to the Gaza Strip that Israel left them, that they could have just picked up and become an economic and tourism powerhouse. You know what they did? They destroyed it all. And you know what would happen in any peace treaty or anything where Israel would actually give up something that could benefit the Arabs? They would destroy it all. So the one-state solution is the only logical, reasonable, and secure solution that can emerge out of the kind of.
What is the population of the Arabs?
They're at a stalemate right now. Okay. The Arabs are.
How many Arabs would it be joining Israel, being Israeli citizens?
About I don't know, 1.8 million.
How many?
1.8. I think 1.8 million.
Make
it 2 million. Let's say 2 million.
That'd make probably a third of Israel Arab if they join, right?
No.
Not even a third.
No, it'll be maybe 20%.
Well, I mean that's tolerable. That'd give them a voice, and they just need to liberalize their laws. Come under one constitutional government. It's possible.
The constitutional government is already in place. It's called Israel.
I'm not gonna, yeah, I agree, but they would have to, submit to the laws of Israel.
Well, the Israeli Arabs who are citizens of Israel already submit to the laws of Israel. In fact, they have it better than Israelis because they don't have to go to the army and put their lives on the line for 3 years in the prime of their young lives. Arabs in Israel don't have to do that. They can volunteer, absolutely, but they're not conscripted like the Jewish kids are.
Well, Hamas's deal is religion, Sharia, and that kind of mindset.
Yeah, Hamas deal is this. Take the Israeli flag. If you look at the Israeli flag on my screen, well, you probably can't see it, but it's on the YouTube screen. And take that Israeli flag, which is the flag of the one-state solution that I back. Take that flag, take that image and that flag, and change the Star of David and the Israeli flag to the Palestinian flag, and there you go. That's what they'll settle for, and nothing less. Hamas, I'm talking about. That's what Hamas wants. Now, Hamas actually runs the country of Gaza, because Gaza is quite obviously a separate entity from the West Bank, and there's no Palestine being the West, part of the West Bank and Gaza. Gaza is not part of it anymore because they've totally distanced themselves. They've cut themselves off from the West Bank by when they took over in 2005, 2007, whenever it was.
I'm curious about something. Why couldn't Egypt just open the border?
Right. Why couldn't they? Well, the thing is, the border with Gaza is something that I have an issue with. I don't think that Israel and Egypt should be blockading Gaza in any. There's really no reason for them to blockade Gaza. The only reason that they have given for the blockade was so that things like military and attack stuff, rockets, don't get through. But as you can tell, the rockets are there by the thousands. The blockade is still in place. What's the point of the blockade?
Mhm.
And lifting the blockade would be an incentive to an economic incentive for the people who live there. There could be investment and there could be opportunity, which takes the urge of war and acrimony away for a bit, and especially if no more Jews. I mean, there's no Jews in the Gaza Strip, and they're still angry. So, I can't see any other solution other than the one-state solution for that.
But, they have peacekeepers, UN peacekeepers in Kosovo still, and in countries in Africa. Couldn't they put them there?
No,
Give them a little bit
no.
of
What
peace?
peace? You know how useless peacekeepers are between countries that have guns and bullets.
You're right, but I mean, give them some teeth, and nobody would accept
The
it.
only time peacekeepers work is when the two countries that are that are quarreling agree for there to be peacekeepers there, and nobody will have guns except for the peacekeepers, for example. But in a situation like Gaza, which is essentially Iran, right there on Israel's border, you've got Iran on Israel's border. I don't see any. The only solution is for the people in Gaza to be liberated.
The Persians hate the Arabs, those Shiite. They hate the Sunni Hamas, but they hate Israel just a little bit more.
I don't know. Do you know that the Ottoman Empire, when they took over, they ruled over all the Arabs, and they treated the Arabs like second-class citizens, and the Arabs hated them, and still today, the Turks hate the Arabs, the Persians hate the Arabs, the Arabs hate the Palestinians. It's the Shiite hate the Sunni, and the Sunni hate the Shiite. It's a shit show. Islam is a circus. So secular Zionism in the form of a one-state solution called in Israel is the only solution that will work.
That Israel doesn't allow gay marriage to get married.
Well, so what? What's your point? So neither does New Zealand. So neither does, I don't know. So neither does fucking Poland. Or so what?
They're not as secular.
What the hell are you bringing up gay marriage in Israel for? As if they're the only country in the whole world that doesn't allow gay marriage. In terms of free and democratic countries.
Right. Well, Hamas doesn't either. They kill gays.
You're trolling me.
They do. Right?
I don't know. Maybe your knowledge or your geographic knowledge of the area is so sparse that you're conflating.
No. It's just.
I don't know how much you of that.
A little example of religion and politics. Every country has it.
I have not brought religion up in this. I do not intend to bring religion. I said to you, a secular Zionism, a secular Israeli state, a secular united Israeli, everything on the west of the Jordan River is Israel. Like Israel should annex tomorrow all of Judea and Samaria. Just like Jordan annexed Judea and Samaria in 1948 or 1949 when they pried it. When they didn't pry it. It was kind of up for grabs, I guess, in the 1948 war. And they and Jordan won. Jordan grabbed it because they had a British trained army, and the Israeli Defense Force, which was not as well trained, I suppose, because they weren't around as long. They couldn't dislodge Jordan off the West Bank. So Jordan controlled the West Bank. Jordan annexed the West Bank into Jordan, the country. when they took it. They didn't see it as a separate nation state for the Palestinians. The Palestinians didn't see it as a separate nation state for themselves. They didn't demand it. They could have. King Hussein could have given them the West Bank after 1948 and said, "Here you go. Here's the West Bank. Call it Palestine," and Israel would have had nothing to say about it. But it didn't happen. The Arabs didn't want to give the West Bank to give it up as a Palestinian state. The Arabs themselves didn't want to do that.
Their standard of living would go way up.
So the one-state solution, in my mind, still stands, and it's got nothing to do with religion. Religion is the least important part of this whole procedure. In fact, with the one-state solution, religion is pretty much shielded, because all the religions that you can think of that right now are in Israel are not being persecuted, number one, and won't be persecuted because religion is just part of Israel's culture. At least 30% of the Jewish country is religious. The rest of them are as secular as you and I. The only difference is for me anyway, as a secular person living in Israel, I'll tell you what the big difference is. Over here, okay, on the internet and in the community online, I have to be subject to being called, and also in real public life throughout my life, living outside of Israel. So I have to be put up with being called a kike and a fucking Jew, and you're a Jew, and a fucking Zionist, and all this kind of stuff I got to put up with, which to me is just plain harassment. In Israel, I don't have to put up with that. I can live exactly the same way I'm living here, but no one's going to call me a fucking Jew and a fucking Zionist, because
How would they?
because there's no reason to insult someone for that reason. There's no the ignorance here. The ignorance here is deep, and over there, it's not a thing. So that's the only reason the only difference between living here in the West and living in Israel for a secular person. So there's there's none of the anti-Semitism. I wouldn't say there's no hatred between peoples, but there's no you fucking Jew, I'll kill you anti-Semitism like is so prevalent here right now, and since forever, since as far back as I can remember, it has been you fucking Jew. When all I've been is an atheist, really. I haven't been a fucking Jew, whatever that even means. I've never been religious.
He's hell to be chosen, man.
I tell you, maybe it's because I'm a Zionist that translates into you fucking Jew. I don't know, but depending on where you live, it doesn't make a difference. For example, here, it doesn't make a difference. And you got people who make up stuff about your life simply because you happen to be born into a Jewish community. If you look at the side chat, there's some guy making up shit right now. But people can write as much fiction as they want, I suppose. It's no one's going to take them seriously, of course. But another thing between in this conflict, it's not a religious conflict. It's a Jew versus Arab conflict. And it's got nothing to do with, say, Islam or Christianity or anything on the other side that's not Jewish. It's the Arab, I don't know, what do you call the Arab? Like a nation? The Arab non-Jews, because they are Arab Jews.
Kingdoms.
I don't know. It's probably difficult for me to to articulate what an Arab really is, because an Arab is not a Muslim, and an Arab is not a Christian, and an Arab is not anything specifically religious, right? It's like a Caucasian, right? A Caucasian can be a Jew, can be a Protestant, can be a Catholic, can be I suppose converted to Muslim, whatever, right? But a Caucasian. I guess in a way, an Arab is somehow synonymous culturally or ethnically with Caucasian, but I'm not sure about that.
There were North African, like desert Bedouin type.
But
people,
for
and
sure,
Muhammad invaded by the sword and spread.
we don't know. Are we making up stuff, or are you?
No, I mean that's what happened. The Berbers and all the people in the North Africa, the Muslims, when they were raiding and spreading out Islam, carrying it with them, they carried their genetics. It's just the way it goes.
What are you talking about?
You saying you didn't know what the
I wasn't talking about anything to do with North America. I was talking about the Israeli situation.
I'm talking about the Arabs.
Well, I understand that, but we're talking about the Arabs in the area of basically Israel and Jordan, or Israel and Palestine, because Jordan is Palestine. Jordan was marked as as Arab Palestine, and Israel was known as Jewish Palestine. This is like back in 1920. When Britain had the mandate and they were trying to figure things out. In the beginning, the whole of the British mandate included all of Israel and all of Jordan, and by 1920 or 22, I think it's 1920, the British had marked off all the territory east of the Jordan River, and they called it Transjordan, but it was really Arab Palestine, and then all the territory to the west of the Jordan River, which today is Israel, was then known as Jewish Palestine. So you got your Jewish Palestine west of the Jordan River, you got your Arab Palestine east of the Jordan River. So essentially you got your two-state solution right there. You got Israel, which is Jewish Palestine, you got Palestine, which is Arab Palestine. Done. Tomorrow, it could be legislated.
Well, then why aren't they doing it?
All the king of Jordan has to do is say, okay, I am now giving my kingdom over to the people and the nation of Palestine, and I will take the role of constitutional monarch and secure my position in Palestine.
Right. They're not going to do that because they're actually they're actually facing a demographic swelling of
70%. 70%.
They're being overwhelmed by Palestinians.
What do you mean by that? Ever since Jordan became Jordan, 70% of Jordan were Palestinians. Where do you think most of the refugees ran to?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So that's been that's since 1948. What do you mean they're becoming? What do you mean they're becoming? What do you mean they're becoming more Palestinian? I think you're reading newspapers from 1950.
Well, I just know what I've heard in the news. They're mainly the military. The king, Hussein, he's the head of the military and monarch, and they control the military. And the Palestinians, they would like for a lot of...
Yeah, but right now it's the kingdom of Jordan. It's not Palestine.
I understand. They would like some people to leave.
How do you know this? Tell me. How do you know these things?
I've heard it in the news.
But you're being
They're
so vague. You're being so vague. They would like some people to leave. I don't know who they are. I don't know who these people are. I don't know where they have to leave. I don't know where they have to go to. So can you be a little bit more specific for
Go
me?
to the West Bank
Mal-
and just migrate to the West Bank and Gaza.
I
I would
don't
like
know.
them to leave.
Listen, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'd like to focus on the one-state solution of Israel. So
Well, you brought
you're
Jordan.
confusing me when you bring up stuff that really, number one, doesn't kind of fit into the flow of the conversation, and number
No,
two, it's something that you say you heard, but you've got no, when I hear something incredibly dramatic or when I get information that is really, really, really important from just you and nobody else in the world, then I have to step back and say, really, and where did you get this from? And then you just say, oh, you heard it in the news. Well, hearing shit in the news is not doing much research into a particular subject. So let's talk about stuff that we've actually done a little bit more than hearing it on the news.
Okay, well, where we're at, you're talking about the West Bank and Gaza being annexed by Israel. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I wish. Not
Okay.
hold on, not Gaza. Gaza, fuck them. That's not part of Israel at all. In fact, it's not part of Gaza is more part of Egypt than it is of Palestine, because it was Egypt until 1967. It was just Egypt, right? There was no Gaza. It was the Gaza Strip, because it was known as the Gaza Strip, but it was Egypt. It wasn't Palestine. So both Egypt and Jordan had opportunities to grant those lands as the nation or state of Palestine. That a Muslim country like Egypt and a Muslim country like Jordan could have given both the West Bank and the Gaza Strip to the Palestinians over a period of 20 years. They had 20 years to do that. Not only did they not propose it, but to the best of my knowledge, the Arabs who lived, they didn't demand it. And now we're in a situation where the crybabies are out. All the Arab cry and the Arab supporting crybabies. I'll refer you to some conversations I've had with a certain James Henry.
I can't hear you.
James. Sorry, my mic was off. But the James Henry is the psychopath, the guy who just lost it on me because I'm a Zionist. He's the one who got me more interested in bringing the Zionist story to the masses, and why Zionism is a great thing, why Zionism was necessary in the first place, and why it will continue way past our lifetimes, and hopefully the one-state solution will be implemented long before our lifetimes. Hopefully tomorrow. Are you okay if the one
Yeah,
state
no, I'm with you.
you're okay with
So
the one state solution
what-
tomorrow?
What is stopping it from happening? Why can't they do it?
Because Israel is chicken shit. That's why.
Well, that guy in your video was saying that they were on the road there and they thought it was going to work out.
Yeah. That was what was they were talking about around the Oslo time periods. When they thought that there was a shot at a political secular solution, but the radicals, the not even the radicals, the Arabs themselves don't want the Jews in the area. Simple as that. That's it.
Okay, you said you didn't want to bring religion in, but aren't they religious fundamentalist Muslims? Really, honestly.
Are there religious fundamentalist Muslims?
Yes.
Where?
In like Gaza, and I don't know about the West Bank.
Well, hell yeah. I mean, yes, of course so.
Bad.
The Hamas is religious fundamentalist Muslim. Don't forget that.
And they voted them when the first time they had elections. They voted them in power.
Right.
Okay, well that's what they want. They want to be a terrorist state, and they pay the consequences.
Well, the only reason that they are a terrorist state is because Israel's allowing them to be a terrorist state. Israel could stop them tomorrow.
No, the world's allowing it too.
No, the world just doesn't care.
Well,
If the world really did care, they'd tell Israel to, remove the blockade of Gaza Strip, remove the fucking blockade, or else we're not going to give you 1 cent. Just like the US did to Pakistan. They said, "Fuck you. You support the Taliban or whatever. We're not giving you the $3 billion a year that we used to give you, whatever." Right? They could do that to Israel tomorrow and say, "Lift the blockade, or else you're getting no support, no Iron Dome, no nothing." And when that happens, of course, the Arabs' ears will prick up and say, how can we take advantage of this, whatever, right? So that's why it's not Israel's fault specifically that the blockade is still in place, because no one, even the Arabs, even Egypt, they are not demanding that it be removed. I don't understand why. I think it would be the best thing. It would be the next step forward in the process should be to remove the blockade of the Gaza Strip, in my opinion.
Is there a warrant for this guy, Hassan Nasrallah? I think that's his name.
Is there a warrant?
Yeah, is he wanted by Israel for terrorist attacks?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Because once they set their sights on someone.
What was your source on this? What was your source of this?
They don't. I'm asking if he is.
I told you I don't know.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't know why you asked me. I mean, why would he be? Why? I don't know.
Because these coordinated terrorist attacks.
Perhaps he is. I'm not part of Mossad yet. I haven't got my my invitation to join the Mossad. And even if I did, I still wouldn't know that part of it. All I would know is my own mission, right?
Well, that's the people that are stopping it.
See,
people like you.
Do you think the Mossad actually exists?
No, it's a rumor.
It's a rumor. Okay.
That's the guy.
It is actually a rumor. Because have you ever met somebody from the Mossad? Have you ever seen a Mossad building or an office or anything? Nothing. It's all a rumor. It's all like, the Mossad is like the unicorn. It just doesn't exist.
It's a bluff, man. It's a big bluff. But anyway, it's people like him that are obstructing this from going forward. Because when they get close, he'll order his minions to make an attack, and that will stall the progress. They do it over and over.
Yeah. I'm I'm having problems with my audio here. Sometimes I'm setting it where I go too high, and sometimes I set it too low. So I'm just going to leave it like this, and hopefully I'm not too low. I don't know. Maybe it's best that I not be too loud. I'll just who said that? Lucky 7 Wolfen, you said my mic is too low, and I do not want to go unheard because I see James Henry has got nothing better to do with his life other than to call me a fucking Zionist and sit in the chat room and and he's gonna try and brainwash you all into being anti-Zionists. He thinks he's very good at it because he said he's been in the military, right? And also he's very, very, very militantly black. If you see what he says to me about, he's so butthurt that he's black and I'm white. Even though it's got nothing to do with anything, he's butthurt.
Is he Hebrew Israelite?
James Henry? No, he's like Obama.
I know that.
He's half black, half white, just like Obama.
Yeah, okay.
But he's butthurt about it. I just don't understand why. And then he's not only half black and half white like Obama, but he's not Jewish. So he's butthurt about that.
It don't bother me at all, not being a Jew. If I was a Jew, I wouldn't do it.
Nah, Jew schmoo. I don't give a shit. It's just that I experienced the kind of hatred like from James Henry because of their bigotry. Their idea of they're like mental Nazis. They hear Jew and they want to kill, right? And then I get that. I understand that. I get the vibe. I hear the words. I see it in the eyes. And it's not something that changes my life, but sometimes I think, you know what? If I was living exactly like I am now, but in Israel, nobody would be calling me a fucking Jew, fucking Zionist for no reason, absolutely no reason. So
not even over a cab.
That's another reason that Israel has to exist. A strong Israel has to exist. So these fucking anti-Jewish, anti-Semite, anti-Zionist, just ignorant fucks, so that these people stay ignorant fucks. And while Israel is strong, I'm strong, because you call me a fucking Jew to my face.
You talk like a Jew can't be an anti-Semite.
Call me a fucking Jew to my face. You won't be in one piece for very long. I'll fucking lose my shit on you, and it won't be rational. It won't look normal, but it will be appropriate. That's the way it is. I was called out for being a Jew when I was in Germany at Oktoberfest by a German, by a drunk German, a very drunk German. But that's the kind of thing that we got to live with. So that's another reason I'm very, very much a supporter of Israel. And even more so, a supporter of the secular Israel that I know is the one that exists. The one that I lived in, which hasn't changed at all since I lived there. And it was a secular country, other than the imposed religious oppression, that the political people had set in place. The 30% of the Knesset, of the Israeli cabinet, of the Israeli parliament, has been 30% of the seats. I think it's 30% anyway. Are delegated for the religious Jewish parties, so they have a lot of input into legislation. And when I lived there, there was no. It specifically affected Friday night through Saturday evening. There were no buses, there were no shops, everything had to be shut when I lived there. So if you didn't have a car, when you couldn't afford a taxi, whatever it was, you couldn't take a bus because they weren't running. That was religious oppression that I encountered in Israel on a consistent basis. I don't know if that is the same today. I doubt very much, because it is still a secular country. Are you still awake? You're muted.
Yeah, I'm awake. I was looking something up.
Okay, share it. What are we looking up?
I was looking at the Wikipedia map of Palestine.
Well, do you know how great the region would be if Israel was united as one state? Because there'd be freedom of movement throughout the area. Like there wouldn't be restrictions like right now. Like Jews cannot go into like Ramallah. That would if Ramallah was part of Israel, that would just go. And Jews cannot pray on the Temple Mount. That would go away. None of this restriction would be in place if Israel annexed Judea and Samaria. So what we should do is form a coalition of support for a one-state solution. And I would appoint James Henry as the leader of this coalition, because I know that James Henry, more than anything in the world, wants to see a one-state solution with a secular Zionist constitution and a strong respect for all human rights.
Yeah, he can go lobby AOC to stop the BDS movement.
Oh, AOC is so irrelevant at this point. Like she's you know what I mean? You can hear her screaming kind of in the background somewhere, but
her and Ilhan Omar,
yeah,
they were pushing the BDS movement.
Yeah, and also there's that other chick, the Talib or Talib, whatever her name is. The one that said about Trump, let's impeach the motherfucker when she got elected. That was funny. But anyway, her.
Keith Ellison. I don't see how Muslims can claim to be a Muslim and be telling the truth when they swear an oath to the Constitution.
I agree.
Because they got to be lying. They either got to be lying.
Well, then hold on a second. Then how can Christians? How do Christians not be lying?
Christians get by because there's a verse, and I think it's in Mark where Jesus says.
No. Talking about the Constitution. Constitution. Let's not forget about the bullshit. The bullshit scriptures. Talking about the Constitution. How are they not lying when they swear allegiance to the flag of the United States? How are Christians not lying?
Because they look at it as there are two different beings, a physical being and a spiritual, and their physical being belongs to the state, and their spiritual being belongs to God. That's the way they look at it.
Well, that violates the first law of logic. Right?
I understand.
Which is A equals A. So you just said some people have different beings, but a being is a being. So how can two different beings be in one body? How do you get that? Where do you get that from?
It's stupid. I understand.
Exactly. So
the way it is.
what I'm saying to you is I don't think that a Christian can pledge allegiance to the flag just as much as a Muslim cannot, because they both have doctrines that are, let's say, violently antisocial. To be, just to keep a lid on it a little bit. I don't want to over exaggerate, but violently antisocial. The Muslims are violently antisocial. The fundamentalist Christians, the Darth Dawkins of this world, are violently antisocial. The anti-Zionists of this world are violently antisocial. They verge on the psychopathic.
Darth is a Zionist. He's a staunch Israel supporter.
So he should come in here, Darth Dawkins, and tell us how Zionism makes sense to you.
It's in the Bible, man.
No, I want to hear. No, I don't want to hear the Bible. The Bible is a book of stories, and I'm not interested in a book of stories. So please, but don't refer to the Bible. But refer to something that's historical. I don't understand why people still even refer to the Bible for anything whatsoever.
That's
because it's like me saying, well, I disagree with you because Shakespeare says this, that, and the other. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Evangelical Christians are the world's greatest ally to Israel. Are Israel's greatest ally. Because
I don't think they're secular Zionism's greatest ally. So fuck them.
That's the way it is. Man.
I have no warmth towards the fundamentalist Christians just because you say they're Zionists whatsoever. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck.
They really don't care what you think.
They don't care what I think. Yeah, of course they don't care what I think.
No.
But that's not the point.
The last time a Christian asked you what you thought about anything.
I don't really get into conversations with Christians about anything because they don't know anything. What's the point?
Right. But they believe the sun rises and sets.
No, they don't. They're not sure. God could change it tomorrow. Don't forget. If God decides that the sun's not going to rise tomorrow, the sun won't rise tomorrow. So you don't know. See, this is how dumb they are.
Yeah, I was raised my whole life. Yeah, they're going to build the temple back. These are signs of the tribulation to be. Temple's going to come back.
Yeah.
All kind of crazy shit.
You know what's hilarious? Is that because the world is, economically fucked up and there's wars and there's and there's global dysfunction, right? And there's threats and this, that, and the other. So everybody thinks that all these Christians, at least, think that sign of the end times and whatnot, right? So it's a cycle, because if you go back in time, you'll find that the sign of the end times has appeared many times throughout history. Certainly in first century Jerusalem or Palestine, Judea and Samaria. First century, it appeared to Carthage, the end times, all those people who were in Carthage before it got flattened. It appeared to the Roman Empire when they lost legions. Remember when they lost legions and they were very, very right. So end times is not something that that is a one-time thing, right? So what's happening today is these Christians are screaming end times, and it is, to me, it's just another snake oil salesman ploy. It's the end time, send money.
In 5,000 years, all the Jews will be assimilated into the population. Everybody, I figure, and
which population?
It'll just be another myth.
In 5,000 years? How about can you think for 200 years? Can you give me your 200-year prognosis?
Oh, it'll probably, yeah, religion will be gone, yes. People are giving it up so quick, and intermarrying waters are coming down around the globe.
Well, you know what? If you were to watch the news coming out of Pakistan and places like Indonesia and Malaysia and Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Bahrain, all these places that are authoritarian, I don't know if you'd be so quick to say that.
Oh, out there, the youth, people having access to knowledge, the internet, and things moving faster, the information age, things are changing faster than ever before.
Yeah, but it's not.
History.
Things are changing, but it's not. It's not like apocalyptic. The end of the world's coming. How do they
No,
arrive at that?
no. Well, they're stuck in the Bronze Age,
Okay,
but the reality is that in just a couple hundred years, things are going to be just really just. I don't even think we can comprehend
I don't have a
the way
couple of
things
hundred years to
are.
wait. I need it done now.
Right. Yeah. Hey, I think someone in their 30s, 20s, and 30s could be potentially immortal by the time their natural death would come with the
You mean
technology.
immortal? Oh, nah, nah. Nobody. I think immortality is the absolute last thing that we as an animal, we of the natural world need. That is
Well,
the.
I,
I
I
think
agree.
immortality is a really silly idea.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. Nothing's immortal.
It
The
makes
universe is
absolutely
going to
no
end.
sense. It makes
The
zero
universe, the
sense.
universe was going to end, so they say, and everything just cools down.
I'd be more in favor with cloning. Say you're gonna die, but before you die, you get yourself ready for cloning, so that when you die, you get cloned again as a young person or whatever, however cloning works. That
Right.
I, that I could I'd sort of I could stand behind if scientifically and technologically it was a thing of it was easy. It's like getting
Yeah, it's like
it's like
the old
getting
Bible.
a vasectomy
It's
instead of
like to be
getting
the old
you
Bible.
get yourself cloned. So
To be the
so
old Bible.
you
To
so
be
you live
the old.
immortally that way, but it's very
We've got one
strange.
too many Sydneys. We're going to kill the old bastard. We got a new one. Don't need the old one. Get rid of him.
Well, hopefully I'd be nurtured a little bit better the next time, so I'd grow up to be, not having to spend my time on the internet arguing with fools like James Henry about silly topics that they know nothing about. I guess I would in some way be still be a someone who trolls the trolls,
Oh,
because
well, I
people.
got to go.
Yeah, no, James Henry he's so stupid that he doesn't know that he's trolling. Skeptic has left the meeting. Ew. So I'm here alone. All right. Well, would somebody else like to join and have a chat? Continue the chat, because it's difficult talking to myself. Well, it's not that I don't do it all the time, but usually when I'm alone, I'll talk to myself. That's fine. Um, but to continue on talking about trolls, I'm watching this James Henry in the side chat there, not only making a fool of himself, but being trolled by Bill Pasdu. Well done, Bill. I think you've got him riled up. I absolutely think you've got. I think he's going to blow a gasket pretty soon. I hope you get him to rage quit. No. I take that back. Don't get him to rage quit. He's fun. All right. If you like, I'll get back to the movie the little video we were watching. There's about 4 or 5 minutes left of it. No, actually, no. You know what we'll do? We'll go to the next one. Let's just go to the next one. Before I actually bring it up, I just want to introduce the speaker's name is Eugene Kontorovich. He's originally from Chicago. He's he's a lawyer, and he specializes in international law. Okay, so I'll be back in a minute. Well, that didn't work out very well. Hold on a second. I'm trying to figure out why. I'll start again. Professor Eugene Kontorovich. All right, let's start again. If I can get some audio out of this.
The spheres of influence established by the Sykes-Picot Agreement soon metamorphosed into the borders of nation-states, proto-nation-states, established by the League of Nations mandate system. We're going to examine the basis of the League of Nations mandate borders, their status in international law, and their status today, at a time when the post-World War I reorganization of the Middle East has come into question. We will see that the questions about the borders of the states that arose after World War I in the Middle East are not new ones. The borders were controversial and caused problems from the very beginning. Some of these problems raised issues that we will find reminiscent, and we'll see how international law addressed these issues in ways that are quite interesting. In numerous situations, in the Middle East and also elsewhere, the borders created by League of Nations mandates created controversies involving territorial sovereignty disputes with neighboring nations, controversies about internal denials of ethnic self-determination, controversies about coherence and independence of these borders, conflicts about the resource allocation implicated in these borders. These controversies, which often involved considerable equities on both sides, resulted in proposals for cession, partition, and rejoinder of mandatory territories, and these proposals were taken extremely seriously. They were entertained by the mandatories, by the League of Nations, Mandates Commission, and various commissions of inquiry during the mandatory period. However, in all of these cases, and all of these disputes, which were quite heated in their day, as we'll see, the mandatory borders as they stood at the moment of independence of the successor nation state became universally and immediately regarded as the sole legitimate borders of that country. And we'll discuss such now arcane matters as the Mosul question of the 1920s, the Alexandretta controversy of the 1930s. And these were some of the most heated political disputes, territorial disputes of the day. And we'll see that once they were resolved by the creation of a subsequent nation state, the borders of those nation states rendered moot all pre-existing disputes, conflicts, proposals of partition, proposal of redrawing of borders, even though none of those underlying issues disappeared. But from a legal perspective, we'll see that they disappeared. And we'll find out the reason why. So we'll talk about two conflicts involving the borders of Mesopotamia, Iraq, and two conflicts involving the borders of Syria and Lebanon, the British Mandate of Mesopotamia and the French Mandate over Syria and Lebanon. And they raised various kinds of controversies, all of which are quite substantial. So the Mesopotamian Mandate saw conflicts and substantial controversy over both its northern and southern borders. The dispute over its northern border is what came to be known as the Mosul question, capital M, capital Q. It was a matter of serious international import. And the Mosul question had to do with who gets the entire, basically, northern third of Iraq, the Mosul region, which was claimed by Turkey after the Treaty of Sevres, and the border had not yet been fully demarcated and adjusted. Whether Mosul, the region of Mosul, would go to the predominantly Arab Iraq or to Turkey was a question that was undetermined. Turkey had various historical claims. Iraq had various claims. And this led to a significant international inquiry. The matter was submitted to arbitration by the League Council, the League of Nations Mandates Council. The League itself appointed an investigative commission, which issued recommendations. Questions of self-determination were considered, like what do the Kurds want? The question of Kurdish self-determination played a role in this. Now, the question of Kurdish self-determination was posed in the following way. Do the Kurds want self-determination by being part of the Arab Iraq or by part of the Turkish Turkey? Whether the Kurds wanted self-determination as being part of the Kurdish Kurdistan was not a question that was posed to the Kurds. And the theory was the Kurds probably wanted to be part of Iraq more than they wanted to be part of Turkey. And so that's how the matter was decided, despite the British having made some self-determination promises at various points to the Kurds and various armed Kurdish insurrections during the period. So despite significant conflict between Turkey, the Kurds, and Iraq over the status of Mosul, when it was finally incorporated into Mesopotamia during the Mandate, at the moment of Iraqi independence, there was no longer any question about sovereignty over Mosul. Such that even today, when we have a de facto independent Kurdish state in the Mosul region, something that looks like a state, acts like a state, it is invariably treated by the international community as part of Iraq, because the borders created by the Mandate are treated as the decisive borders. Another dispute happened on the other end of Iraq, involving the border, the southern frontier, with the Emirate of Kuwait. The border, the southern frontier of Mesopotamia was only demarcated, roughly, in the 1922 Uqair Protocol of the Treaty of Mohamara, which was principally about determining the border with Saudi Arabia, but also demarcated, roughly, the border with Kuwait. Upon independence, Iraq expressed great displeasure at how the border had been drawn by the mandatory power, by Britain. So these mandatory borders are not fair, and laid claim to substantial parts of Kuwait. Now, these claims are actually non-trivial. The Iraqi claims to Kuwait were non-trivial. It is indeed true the border was arbitrarily drawn by Britain, who was very sympathetic to the Kuwaiti emirs. The Kuwaitis also didn't like the border, by the way. The Iraqis had, on the equities, non-trivial claim. Kuwait, an emirate of almost no people at the time, received 300-some miles of Gulf coastline. Iraq, one of the most densely populated states in the Middle East, received 32 miles. Hardly seems fair. Iraq maintained this position very strongly at the moment of Kuwaiti independence in 1961, and mobilized its army and threatened to invade the new emirate to readjust the border. The international community at the United Nations condemned this move, and Britain sent forces to Kuwait to be prepared to repel this. And of course, the United States acted similarly in the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait in 1990. Thus, we see that the Iraqi claim to a redrawing of its southern border precedes certainly Saddam Hussein, dates back to the mandatory period, and despite significant equitable arguments about the misdrawing of the mandate, the difficulty it makes for Iraqi self-sufficiency, those claims were rejected by the international community because however the UKR protocol was drawn up, and it was mostly drawn by taking a straight line and just going like that, it doesn't matter. At the moment of independence, those were the borders, and the international community has treated them as the unassailable borders. Two controversies involved the French mandate for Lebanon and Syria. Mount Lebanon had always been an autonomous area of the, or had always, since the 19th century, had been an autonomous Maronite area of the Vilayet of Damascus. However, when the French, as mandatories, partitioned Lebanon from Syria to create a separate, predominantly Christian state, as was mentioned this morning by Professor Rabinovich, they padded the area of Mount Lebanon by giving it also the coastal city of Tripoli and some of the lucrative Bekaa Valley farm hinterland. This was supposed to give it depth, an agricultural base, to create what you would call today a viable Christian state, to make it viable. Now, this was greatly resented by Arab nationalists in Damascus, who challenged the legitimacy of redrawing the internal borders of the Vilayet of Damascus, and also on ethnic self-determination grounds. The inhabitants of these regions, of the Tripoli and Bekaa Valley regions, were not predominantly Christian. How can you put them under the Christians? These are all fair-sounding claims. Nonetheless, since the moment of Lebanese independence, the borders of Lebanon, the internal politics of Lebanon, have been a tumult, but the external borders have been treated as internationally sacrosanct. Now, perhaps the most interesting case involves Alexandretta, or Hatay, depending on where you stand, which was the northwestern corner of Syria under the mandate, under the French mandate. It had, on the border between Syria and Turkey, it had an extraordinarily cosmopolitan population: Arabs, Armenians, Greeks, Turks, Jews, and was a source of great friction with Turkey. Turkey had significant claims to it, and throughout the 1930s, Turkey asserted demands for greater control. France implemented increasing plans of autonomy for the region, but nonetheless, Ankara continued to insist on control over this area, which had a Turkish plurality, but not majority. It had a very large Turkish population. And throughout the 30s, there were riots there that were at least instigated in part by Kemalist forces. There was an appeal by Turkey to the League of Nations Commission, which partially noted the validity of Turkish demands and demanded even greater autonomy for the region. And this may sound also familiar. Between 1937 and 1938, there were at least 4 different French, I would call them, peace plans for greater autonomy and cession of Hatay, of Alexandretta, from Syria. None of this was enough for Turkey, and ultimately in 1939, France, eager to have Turkish support in a coming war with Germany, simply ceded Hatay to Turkey, at which point most of the non-Turkish population fled. Now, what's interesting about this is, aside from the self-determination issues, the French action was quite clearly a violation of Article 4 of the Mandate for Syria, which provided, much like the Palestine Mandate did, that no part of the Syrian Mandate shall be placed under the control of a foreign country. And here France goes and nip and tuck, cuts Hatay off and gives it to Turkey. Despite the rather clear violation of the provisions of the League of Nations mandate, at the moment of Syrian independence in 1943, Hatay was not part of Syria. The border had been withdrawn by the mandatory power, perhaps incurring an independent legal violation, but nonetheless, the border of mandatory Syria, as administered in 1943, did not include Alexandretta. And thus, despite the fact that the Alexandretta-Hatay dispute has remained a live one between Syria and Turkey, basically to this day, the international community invariably recognizes the legitimacy of Turkish sovereignty over Alexandretta. Syria has never made that concession, by the way, and I think it is not a coincidence that the Russian fighter plane downed over Turkish airspace was downed in the area of Hatay, an area that remains extremely sensitive to Turkey, knowing Syria's continued territorial demands. We see a pattern here. We see, despite the fact that every single mandate involved the denial of certain claims of ethnic self-determination, involved the denial of some other countries' claims to resources, contiguity, or other politically attractive features. Despite the fact that these mandates were controversial in their day, despite the fact that there were widespread calls for partition and redrawing of their borders, and maybe some of these claims were meritorious from an equitable perspective, in all these cases, the borders of the mandatory entity as it stood at the moment of independence became the universally recognized borders of the successor country. This is not a surprise, because this turns out is a basic rule of international law, which Ambassador Baker referred to, uti potestatis juris. Uti potestatis juris is a rule about how you figure out the borders of new countries. And that rule says, when a new country is born, don't try to figure out what are just borders or good borders, because in that case, every time a new country is born, there would be open conflict about every inch of its borders. Everything would be up for grabs. Rather, the borders are automatically locked in to the borders of the last existing geopolitical unit there. So, for example, Soviet Union collapses. What are the borders of the new countries when they declare independence? The borders of the previous Soviet republics. Is that fair? Is that nice? Does it have anything to do with self-determination? No. Let me give an example. Take Crimea, for example, as Russia recently did. The international community does not recognize largely Russia's claim to Crimea. Now, it's important to note that Russia's claim to Crimea is non-trivial, because Ukraine cannot base its claim to Crimea on self-determination. Most of the people in Crimea wish to be part of Russia. They cannot base it on ethnic commonality. Most of the people are not Ukrainian. They cannot base it on historical title. Crimea has almost always been part of Russia. Rather, in the 1950s, the General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Soviet Communist Party, Nikita Khrushchev, did himself a little nip and tuck and made a present of Crimea to Ukraine. Was it nice? Did it involve consulting the local population? No, and no one cared much, because everyone was still being governed from Moscow anyway. However, at the moment of independence, Crimea was within Ukraine's borders, the borders of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic, and that's what the international community goes by. We also see, by the way, the exact same kind of thing that played out in the Middle East. playing out in a variety of mandates, League of Nations mandate territories in Africa. And I can't go into the details here, but in my paper with Avi Bell, we examine the long-forgotten U controversy over the denial of independent state to the U people, who you've never heard of, but who were split up amongst British and French Togo lands in a way which denied them a state of their own. Many people thought that the U should have their own state. Nonetheless, in the end, the borders of the respective Togo lands became the borders of the respective countries, or the famous South Cameroon dispute, dealing with ethnic secessionist claims in British South Cameroon. Nonetheless, the border, or the Burundi-Rwandi question, nonetheless, in all these cases, the borders of the mandatory territories, despite calls for partition and redrawing during the mandatory period, become the borders of the resulting successor state. Now, of course, there's one mandate that we didn't mention, the mandate for Palestine. The mandate for Palestine, I need not tell you, also faced much criticism because of its borders. And there were many calls, such as by the United Nations General Assembly, for partition, redrawing, and fundamentally rethinking the borders of this geopolitical entity. Nonetheless, those proposals did not come to fruition, and the presumptive borders of Israel, our study of other mandatory borders would suggest, at the moment of its independence, which is the moment these things are determined, would be exactly the borders of the British mandate for Palestine, and no more and no less. Thank you very much.
I have, and I met them in jail.
I've never been to jail.
I've been to jail because I was caught with hashish
I know you're a
in
criminal.
an Arab country, and I got sentenced to
Well,
jail.
that
for
doesn't. That just shows you're not very forward thinking. You know, you're not very.
Why?
Well, I
I took
mean,
the risk.
It's
I
just
took the risk.
in the
I took
Netherlands,
the
you say
risk,
that.
and I got caught. What else is there to say? You know, I
no,
got
but
caught.
to go and transport hashish or do whatever the fuck in Morocco,
No, I
are you
wasn't transporting it. It was caught on my person
exactly,
when I was in that country moving around.
exactly? Don't do that in a country like Morocco where you die if you get caught with it.
If I die, I'm
No
still
problem,
here. I'm
Randolph.
still here. I'm still alive. You know what I'm saying?
You survive, but
Well,
poor little
the
me,
point I was
poor
trying to
little
make
me
is
would have
I met
perished
men
in
in
there.
prison.
Yeah.
Look, whether God saved me or I saved me, I don't know. I survived. But what I do know is I won't do it again.
Well, you're too fucking old now.
It's not about old. It's not about old, because like I'm on like on the line of being nice and being the worst person that I can be. And in prison, I became the worst person I could be. I did terrible things. You know what I'm saying?
To survive, or because you just wanted to be an asshole?
You survived because we weren't given food. Your family had to send you food.
Jeez.
So everybody in the prison had a knife, which was so-called used for cooking.
Was this prison in Morocco?
Yes.
Yeah.
Were you cooking people?
No.
Well, then it wasn't that bad.
I guarantee you, Sidney, you would not last there 3 days. So I wouldn't talk if I were you.
Let me tell you something. I wouldn't be so stupid as to be caught with hashish in Morocco.
It's not a question of being stupid.
And I'll tell you another thing.
Bad. You saying it's not that bad when you've never been there. Sidney, talk
Listen,
about
I'll
what
tell
you
you.
know,
I'll
and
tell
don't
you
talk
another
about
thing.
what you think
I
you know.
wouldn't be in an Arab country. Period. So,
I did what I did, and I got caught, and I accepted my punishment, and I tried to take my punishment like a man.
You challenged me, and I answered you. You don't like it? Too bad.
Sidney, you didn't challenge me in anything. All you're making is just incoherent sounds, and I don't know why you're doing it, because I'm thinking maybe you like to listen to the sound of your own voice.
I'm thinking the same about you. Do you like your own voice?
Not really, no.
Then why is it
I
always
don't think
emanating?
anyone does. Yeah.
What? Why the what?
Why is it always emanating from you?
He
So why
can't.
do you always, if you find it so bad,
You
why
see,
do you
you
always
don't.
invite me into the stream to listen to what I have to say?
If
You
he's
could
going to
always
talk,
block
You
me,
have
you could remove me, but obviously you don't. So
you have no idea about sarcasm.
I understand sarcasm fully well.
I know you. then
Fully well.
why did you go to remove me? If you want to remove me, you can
No, what
remove me.
I'm saying is, you saying why should I listen to you or why you should listen to me? You could always remove me or stop communicating with me, and your problem will be solved. I won't lose
I
a
have made
minute's
it
sleep of
clear.
it, and you won't either. So what's the big deal?
Look. I don't know if you heard it, but earlier I said, and I made it very, very clear that Satan is the one true devil and Sidney Winston is his messenger. We all accept that.
I don't admit that.
I don't accept that.
I don't accept that.
It's by
Because I
definition.
don't believe I don't believe Satan exists, so he can't be.
No.
It's by definition.
No, but Satan would still have to exist, and I don't accept that, so I refute
Well,
that.
Satan has to exist because evil exists.
So what does evil have to do with Satan?
Yeah.
Well, Satan is the good that confronts evil, which is the evil is the like the God, the creator God, the Christian God. That's evil. Then you got Satan, which is the force of good. And the way I can best show you this is by taking the satanic rules of the earth. There's 11 of them, and then comparing them to the 10 commandments of Christianity, and seeing which is better for a harmonious humanity to live under.
But you granted that Christianity is true. Why is it not Buddhism or Hinduism or one of the other religions?
Because they don't have laws that are anti-humanist,
but
like Christianity does.
Yeah, but you're saying that Satan has to exist, but you're granting Christianity way too much than it deserves. If Christianity isn't true, then Satan doesn't exist.
You know what confuses me? I've never asked myself this question. Why am I here and what is my purpose in life? I don't have time for that shit. I don't care about that shit. I don't care about God. I don't care about devil. They're not here. I don't see them niggers. I don't see them anywhere. They do nothing for me. I'm worried about the here and the now, where I am.
It's an incoherent question because there's no set purpose. Your purpose is what you cut out for yourself.
Yeah. You may.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make is I am not secretly a prince. I don't have a deeper purpose. I don't have a deeper meaning. I don't have a deeper task. That's because if I had to assume that, that's fucking arrogant. Why me and not the rest of the 5 billion other people in the world?
Absolutely, I agree with you.
I care about me. I care about my autonomy. The power that I want is the power and the freedom for me to choose what I choose to choose. The power that I want has no bearing on people around me. I don't want to impose my power on anyone else.
To choose what to choose. Is that what you said?
The power means the freedom to choose. Power means choice.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No. Oh yeah. Then
Of
how
course
come you absolutely failed when I gave you a choice? Kill the Catholic or kill the Protestant? You absolutely,
because that's a choice. That's a choice that
exactly.
has absolute.
But it's still a choice.
That's a choice. That's a choice that has absolutely no benefit to me. So why would I do it?
It's still a choice. I told you. Yes, it
No,
has.
why would if it
does.
Not benefiting me?
Yes, it does have benefit to you because if you
So
kill,
what
if you kill, the benefit is that you don't die. You kill a Catholic or a Protestant, one of them, and then you yourself don't die. That's your benefit.
I don't want that benefit. So what? I can live longer and experience more of the same bullshit world?
You just go free. You go free.
No, man. Look, at the end of the day...
You take out a Catholic or a Protestant, one of your
Look,
choosing,
I'm not scared of
then
dying.
You go free.
Dying is the way of things. I'm not scared about that.
I'm certainly not suggesting that you go down the road of even thinking about dying.
No, but whether I go down that road or not, it's something that is going to happen. The only thing is I don't know when, but it's going to happen, and I'm good with that. Dying is the way of things.
Everybody knows that for themselves, and everybody has to be good with that. Otherwise, we'd all be running around screaming.
Yeah, but why would I worry about the inevitable?
I'm not
I worry
asking you to
about
worry
shit
about
that I
the
can
inevitable.
change, not shit. I'm gonna die, whether I'm rich, poor, black, white, trans, gay, what the fuck. I'm gonna die just like the rest of
Yeah,
us.
you've said
And
that.
I'm good with that.
You've
It's
made it
okay.
quite clear to us many times that this is what your end is going to be, but it's going to be the same for everybody.
What
I don't
was
know
it?
what it's gonna be. I mean, I'm not
No,
worried.
but there is
I'm
an
not
end
worried.
for everybody. Everybody has an end.
There's an end, but whatever comes after that end, I don't concern myself with that.
No, it's a
Yeah.
brick. It's a brick wall. Life. And
Whatever.
then the
I
brick
don't care
wall.
about, because the way I think of it, when I die, it'll be over. That's how I think.
I'm
So-
just going to say, was it? I don't want to. I'm not afraid of dying. I just don't want to be there when it happens. And now,
True.
I'm going to go now because you reminded me of a song, so I'm going to start a stream up. If either of you want to join, that'd be brilliant. But I've got
Yeah,
all of them, so I need to play this song and sing it on my channel. So
all right.
appreciate it, Sidney Winston.
No
Thanks
problem.
for letting me on.
Thanks for dropping
All
by.
right. Cheers. Thanks.
Thanks.
Take care, man.
I don't mind dying. Whether I mind it or I want it, it's gonna happen. Why must I be scared of the unknown?
Why are we talking about dying?
It's because
We should
you
be
said
talking
if I
about
killed a
living.
Catholic, if you told me if I had to choose between killing a Catholic or a Protestant, and in return I would get eternal life. I
I
don't
never
want
said that.
eternal
I
life.
did not say that at all.
What did you say?
I said your choice is to, in order for you to live, to carry on living free for the rest of your natural days, you either got to kill a Catholic or a Protestant. With this knife that I'm giving you, you're holding it in your hand.
Look, the only time that I would consider killing someone, right, if there's a mortal threat to my life.
Which there is.
I hope I won't do it, but I think I will. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, there's a mortal threat to your
But
life.
to make that decision based on whether that person is a Catholic or a Protestant, that's not relevant to me.
How are you going to choose?
Why would I choose?
Because this is the situation.
I would choose the person. I would choose, if I had to do that, I would choose the person that's the most imminent and present clear danger to me.
None of
If I had to
them.
make that choice.
They're just regular people. How can they be a danger to
Then
you?
they would have nothing to fear from me, and if they're regular people, then they would have nothing to fear from me.
One of them has to die. Which one are you going to choose?
Yeah, but who says that one of them has to die? Just because you say that?
Well, it's a thought experiment that we participate in.
Nah, I mean, it's a thought experiment that begins nowhere, goes nowhere, travels through nowhere. It's an unanswerable question because, like in Dutch, you have a saying, moment bepaald.
Well, the thing.
So if you translate that, it means that you don't know what you're going to do until you're placed in that position.
Exactly.
So therefore, I can't answer that question.
Exactly, which is why you discuss it. You say, well, okay,
Yeah,
so
but I got better things to discuss.
Which one would I kill? A Catholic or
I'm not
a Protestant? I would immediately say Catholic to myself, but then I would say no. Protestants are the ones that are causing all the fucking problems in America with all the Protestantism and Protestant. In Darth Dawkins is a Protestant. For that reason alone, I'd kill a Protestant. There you go.
No.
See?
No.
Very simple,
No.
James. Very, very simple.
For you, not for me. I don't take life and death that easily or that lightly.
It's not taking life. It's just a thought experiment.
Yeah, but it's that's the problem with thoughts. Thoughts lead to deeds.
Bullshit. We're all adults. I mean, every thought leads to deeds.
Sidney,
every deed originates as a thought.
Sidney, your premise assumes that everybody is capable of rational thought and capable of making rational decisions. That doesn't work like that.
Well,
There's no black and white. There's no either or. Life is not black and white. Life is full of different shades of gray.
Have you ever heard of common sense?
Common sense, I have.
Okay, well, common sense is common to all humans. It's not common to any particular
Again, what
nation.
are you basing that on?
And
If common sense was available,
everybody who crosses the street looks left or right or both ways before they cross the
if
street.
common sense was prevalent as you claim it is,
Yes.
then why are we living in such a fucked up world?
Because a lot of people don't use common sense.
Because a lot of people don't have common sense, because you can only have common sense
is something
if
you
you're
use.
able to think
No,
rationally.
it's common
A lot of
because
people cannot think
it's
rationally.
common
They make
because
bad
you have
decisions.
it. It's common because you have it. If you don't use it,
Common means that common is not a guarantee that you have it. Common means that it's prevalent, but it's not all
if you've
encompassing.
survived childhood, you have common sense.
Again, what are you basing that on?
On you've been taught to not cross the street before looking left or right. You've been taught this, and you've been taught that, and you've been taught the other. Common sense.
What about
common
a
sense?
woman?
Oh, hold on, let me finish. You've been taught common sense about pretty much everything by the time you reach adulthood. So that common sense is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but in order for me to use that common sense, I have to think rationally and logically. I'll give you an example. You have a lot of women, right, who keep on making bad decisions.
I don't like it when you
choosing
use women.
bad men and having babies with bad men.
I don't like
and
it when
men
excuse me.
not taking care of those children.
Are you
and
listening
yet
to me?
They have
Are you
6,
listening
7
to
children.
me? Are you listening to me? I don't like using women as examples for anything because I find that misogynistic.
I find that hypocritical of what you're saying.
Okay, then present your example and let's see.
I am talking about a specific example.
Okay,
You are the
I'm
one that is attaching. You're the one that is attaching value or lack of value to that statement. What I'm making, I'm not attaching any value.
No, but I'm proving your misogyny. Go ahead.
How am I misogyny? There are women. Are there not women?
Yes, they are.
Right?
Tell us. Go
Who are victims. Who keep on getting involved with men that are bad men. They get pregnant from these men, right? They have children by these men. And some of them have 4 or 5 children, and each from different fathers, and each father does nothing for the child. But if another guy comes with the right story and the right smile, right, she'll go to bed with him. Does she have common sense?
How old is she?
She's a woman.
Yeah, so I mean, there's 3.5 billion women on this planet, and I can't picture one in particular that stands out as the woman you
go to the American projects. Go to the American projects, and you'll see neighborhoods full of women like that.
I can't right now because number one, I'm not in America, and number two, it's dark outside.
When you go to the projects, you will see a community full of people like that. That's why it's called the projects.
I'm not sure that I know what you're talking about, but the way you talk about women as one sort of stereotype.
I was using it as an example. I'm not saying I've never uttered a misogynistic word in my life.
A woman is a slut. Boom. End of story.
So what? Are we not allowed to talk about women anymore?
You made a statement that women are sluts.
Sidney, I think you're getting fucking dumber by the day. You know that.
Do you not think that women are sluts anymore?
When did I say women are sluts? And please quote me verbatim when I said that.
During your example that you were giving us,
look, you said the problem is not me, Sidney. The problem is you, because you are thinking. You are thinking and you are attaching something that I never said. And that says more about you than it does about me.
You asked me to respond.
I never used the word slut. I never used the word slut. You did. I never brought up the word slut. You did. So it's about the way you look at the world and not the way I look at the world. It's you.
How did you use what words did you use exactly then, if it wasn't
I used women not having common sense. A woman not having common sense does not equate to her being a slut. I don't know where you get that bridge from.
You just said she doesn't have common sense. She sleeps with anyone she comes across who's got a pretty smile.
Look, if she sleeps with everyone, that doesn't make her a slut.
But is that common sense?
That's what. Oh, Sidney, talking to you is fucking like having a wow. Dude.
Why do you have to bring women as one stereotype?
Why do you have to keep on asking stupid, irrelevant questions so that you can hear your voice. Why do you do that?
Because I can hear my
Why
voice.
do you attach things? And it's not only me that you've done it to. You did it to Khalil as well. You attach things to people that they've never stated or said. Why do you do that?
So
And what gives you the right to do that?
I do it so I can hear my voice, just like you said. You're the one who said, you suggested I do it because so I can hear my voice, and I'm agreeing with you. I do it so that I can hear my voice.
No, Sidney, you do it to fuck shit up.
Now you're disagreeing with yourself.
No.
Yes, you absolutely are. You said to me, I talk.
Sidney, all you're doing is you're using a lot of words to say nothing. You're saying nothing of value to anyone, anywhere, at any time. And yet you still choose to say it. So I don't know for whose benefit you say it.
How is telling us how women have no common sense by sleeping around?
You see, you generalizing what I'm saying and you're taking it out of context.
How is that of any value?
You know what that makes you, Sidney? You know what that makes you?
How is that of any value?
There's nothing lower than a liar like you are. You're a liar.
How is that of any value?
No, you're a liar. That's it. I'm saying it to you directly. You are a liar. You're a fucking liar. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, he got called out on his misogyny, and he turned into "you fucking liar." So this is who we're dealing with: a misogynist, anti-Zionist, anti-Jew, thinks he knows everything, but knows nothing. A convicted criminal who could not use any common sense in an Arab country, so he transported hashish around until he got caught and thrown in jail. And then he complains about the conditions in a Moroccan jail. And he survived. Oh, he's such a hero. So would you like to hear more about that? Or would somebody like to come in and talk about it? Or talk about something else? You're more than welcome. If nobody comes into the chat, I'll just... I have a plate of sandwiches here, so I need to eat it. And I might just continue watching this this hangout where I was trolling James all the time. Listen to how excited he gets when he gets trolled. It's actually quite funny. So I'm gonna get back to that. I'm gonna keep on watching this. This is hilarious. Are you finished now?
I'm pretty much thinking of leaving the stream, yeah. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, but your little rant, are you over with that at least?
Sidney, that little rant, I guarantee you, if I was stood in front of you, you would not be talking to me the way you were talking to me. I guarantee
if I was
that.
stood in front of you, you'd be sitting, I'd be standing.
Give me your address and we'll see. I'm coming to America.
You understand me?
Give me your address.
You get me, bro. You get me, bro. You'd be sitting, I'd be standing. Okay, just get that one thing straight between you and me.
I don't need to get shit straight. I don't need to get.
That's all I want to tell you.
Like you said,
all I want to tell you.
You're scared of going outside because of your anxiety bullshit, right? So therefore, what you do is you cultivate some big balls behind the screen, and then you talk to people on the internet the way they do, because in real life, I know that you don't have the balls to do that. So therefore, that's why you create this persona that you have on the internet. You might not like what I'm saying, but I don't give a fuck.
I don't care what you say, and you might be right. You might even be right. However, we both
there's
grew
no
up...
however.
There's no fucking however. However, we both grew up on the streets of Africa. So
I grew up on the streets and you didn't.
Don't fucking give me...
I grew up on the streets and you didn't. Okay, you lived in a...
What did you say? Excuse me. I'm in mid-chew here. But you see how he talks for me. He says, I grew up on the streets, but you didn't. He knows everything about my life. Have you noticed? If you are acquaintances with James Henry, I suggest you stop right now. Get him out of your life. He's bad news. He's poison. Let's carry on. Listen to this.
A country that fucking pampered white people like you. So don't talk me about...
See, doesn't have a fucking clue what he's talking about. I mean, the fact that people this stupid are even allowed to have computers makes me despair for humanity. But anyway, this is real life, people. This James Henry actually exists. This is not a made-up character. It's an actual person.
Walking on the streets
Now
and living on
now
the
you're
streets.
insulting
That's
me.
bollocks.
You're insulting me by calling me
Yeah, I'm
white.
insulting you. Yeah, I'm
You're
insulting you.
me
Yeah,
by calling
that's
me
right.
white.
I am.
I do not identify as white, and
You didn't identify as white, but you were fucking born a white man in a white country. So don't talk to me
I
about
don't care.
fucking
I do
walking on
not
the streets.
identify.
I've been to South Africa during apartheid and after apartheid.
I
I
do
saw
not-
it with my own eyes. So don't try and tell me that you
I-
got street cred because you grew up in Africa. Fuck that.
I do not identify as white right now, and I feel
You don't identify. It's not what you
Yes,
identify.
yes,
it's
it
how
is.
other people look at you, you
it-
piece of shit.
It's absolutely how I identify, and
Yeah,
I do
Tulip.
not,
It's always about you.
I
It's
do-
not.
You notice how he won't let me finish what I'm trying to say. He's always trying to interrupt me. It's because I'm telling the truth, and he knows he's bullshitting. And when you're a bullshitter, you better be talking all the time, so nobody else has a chance to respond and call out the bullshit. And this is what he's doing. Just watch him. Listen to him. Do not
not how other
identify
people look at you.
as white. So
Yeah,
please-
and I don't
please-
identify as a Ninja Turtle. So what's your point?
I don't care what you identify as. I mean, you look like a
Yeah,
Ninja
but
Turtle.
don't come
That
and
doesn't
say
mean
we're
to say
both
that
born
you
in
have to-
Africa on the streets. You are not from the streets, Sidney.
Don't
You
tell
are not
me-
a
don't
violent
tell
man.
me- don't
You are
tell
not
me you
capable
don't
of being
know
violent.
anything about me.
Even stronger than that, you wouldn't survive a day on the streets. So don't give me that street
You know
cred
what?
bullshit.
You sound like a Christian preacher now with your bullshit preaching. You wouldn't do
Yeah.
this. You wouldn't do that. You don't know this. You never did
And
that.
you sound, and
you
you
know
sound,
everything
and you
about
sound,
me.
and you
You
sound
know
like a
everything
cunt. So what's
about
your
me.
point?
So
And you sound like a cunt.
all
So what's
you
your
do,
point?
all you do is brag about things that you've never done. You went to the army, never been there.
How'd you know that?
Because you talk shit all the time about everybody else. You might as well talk shit about yourself.
If you want to.
It's a very good point. Everything he says is he can retract. He's a liar. He brags. He brags about shit that nobody would brag about if it really happened. So I'd worry every time that this guy that anybody takes what he says seriously. But let's just listen to what a nutcase this guy is. Carry on.
Talk shit about
If
me.
you're
I
a-
can
if-
help
if
you talk
you're a
shit
sh-
about me because
if you're a
I
shit
know
talker-
more bad things about me than you will ever know about me.
Yeah. Oh, but you're such a bad boy on the internet. Keyboard warrior. That's what you are.
Sydney, I'm willing to put $5,000 on the table that you and me stand in front of each
you
other
are
and let's see
so
what happens.
brave.
You're a piece of shit, Sydney. You
You
lie,
are
you embellish.
so
You know, the only reason why
brave.
you make yourself good is to
Uh-huh.
make other people look bad. You can never do something on
So-
your own steam.
So I'm doing something
What
good.
have you accomplished in your life? Were you living in your cabin by yourself and your children visit you once in a while because they feel sorry for you? Because daddy's too scared to go walk onto the street because he's got anxieties. Fuck that. You're a piece of shit.
Okay, so if you have an anxiety, just know that you're a piece of shit, all right? Anybody out there? Anybody out there? If you have anxiety, you're a piece of shit, according to James Henry. Do not forget. It's important that you remember.
Yeah? I hurt your feelings. And now what? And now what?
Where do you get hurting my feelings from?
Yeah, because you're fucking keeping quiet. That's why. I'll say these things to you all day, every day. I'm not like the other people that are nice and understanding and turn the other cheek. No, I'm not like that. I've never been like that, and I've never pretended to be like that.
Do you think Rebel's gonna
You
like
fucking pretend
You
to be
think-
something that you are not.
You think
You
Rebel?
pretend. You
think-
pretend to be. Oh, I'm a humanist.
think Rebel's
Then the way you
gonna-
talk about Christians, the way you talk about Muslims, no, that's nice. No, that's very humanistic. The difference between you and me is I can see the ideology of something, and I can see and I can separate it from the person.
This guy is such a fucking hypocrite. The way I talk about Christians and the way I talk about Muslims, what does he mean by that? The way you talk about women, James Henry, you wouldn't get past, if you try to come to Canada and they asked you some simple questions, you wouldn't get past the custom, you wouldn't get past immigration. They'd put you on a plane back to wherever the fuck you're from, post haste. You fucking misogynist. I think this is the video where he loses his shit about, it becomes a total psychopath about the Zionist thing. There's only about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to let the video, run. I'll be back when it's over, and I'll be finished my sandwich.
Might not agree with his ideology, right? But I can still see that's a decent human being. But you are 100%. Because I have that ideology, I support it all 100%. Everything that I supported.
What ideology is that?
Who the fuck are you to make that determination?
What ideology do you support 100%?
I heard you talking, the way you were talking, about Khalil. And the way that, Islam this and the women that and that. And who are you to defend women's honor? Who are you?
What do you mean, who am I?
Who are you?
Why can't
who
I
are you
defend
to call out others about being misogynistic when I'm talking about a woman lacking common sense, right? And then all of a sudden, because she lacks common sense and she sleeps with men, then you turn.
So hold on a second. So you got the woman lacking common sense. All right, let's just unpack this a little bit. You got a woman lacking common sense by getting pregnant by different men over a period of time, and then the men not caring about their the women, and the women having children and the projects and the this and the that and the other. Women have no common sense, James Henry says. But have you ever thought about the men's side of it? The men who are picking up these women, fucking them, unprotected, getting them pregnant, not caring about the future of the mother, of the child, the welfare. How much common sense do these men have? James Henry? Fuck all common sense they have. So why are you actually picking on the women? Misogynistic James Henry? You're a contradiction. You are thick. You're really thick up in the head. You're stupid. Listen to you.
Into a slut. That tells me what you think about women, not what I think about women, but what you think about women.
Misogynistic right now. Yes, he is.
No, and you are a fucking ignorant pig. That's what you are.
You're aggressively misogynistic.
I've never hit a woman in my life. All the women that I've been with, including the one that I'm with today, I have never cheated on them. Okay. I have never beaten them. I've never lied to them.
You are venomously misogynistic right now.
And you are clearly bipolar and psychologically unstable. So what's your point?
Clearly.
You are. You are. That's why you come on here, because this is the only contact that you have. Because in real life, people know what a piece of shit that you are. Because at the end of the day, you're just like Darth Dawkins, but just with a different message. But the delivery is the same. And pointing fingers.
And I'm such a bad person.
Attributing. Okay. You got nothing. You got no sympathy, Sidney. You're a piece of shit.
All right. And here you are hanging out around with a piece of shit.
I'm enjoying insulting you.
What does it say?
You know what it is? When I first met you, I gave you the benefit of the doubt.
What does it say about you?
When I first met you, I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I was upset the way you were treating Khalil a few days ago.
How do you think?
And now I'm telling you, when I leave this stream, I will never return to it. I will never return to it.
But how do you think Rebel feels
about you right now?
Right. So the big loss to take away from all this is that when James Henry leaves this stream that he's on, that he was on, he will never return. Never ever to return. Now, that's no common sense in that. That's just a knee-jerk reaction. I'll never return to you. I mean, you better keep to your word, but you made a promise that is really not to your best advantage. Because now you don't have a voice. You can't come in here and speak because you've vowed never to return to my stream. So the question is, where is your common sense? You have no common sense. You're angry. You're frustrated. You look in the mirror and you see ugliness inside and out. You don't like yourself, obviously, and you expect other people that are going to sidle up to you and say, "Hey, James, will you be my buddy?" No one's going to be your friend, because you're abrasive, assertive, and above all, you're an absolute misogynist. I know people like you very well. You're a dinosaur, James Henry, a fucking dinosaur.
All of the good discussions
tell me
that
how
happen
you
on
think.
your channel,
Tell me how you think
all
Rebel
of the
feels
good
about
discussions
you right
that
now. Tell me
happen
how.
on your channel
Hey,
are
James,
discussions
James,
where
James,
you don't
wait.
take
Listen to
part.
him.
How
Listen
do
to
Why
him.
is
you
that?
think Rebel feels about you right now?
Okay, so he just talks and talks and talks, but he doesn't give a fuck about how Rebel feels, I believe.
I don't care.
Sure you do.
I don't. The rebel has done nothing to me that would anger me, or to speak to her like how I'm speaking to
Okay,
you.
well, why don't you, if you're never going to come back, why don't you say whatever your outgoing statement's going to be?
Why don't you keep your advice and your directives
Why
to
don't
yourself?
you say your outgoing
You
statement?
are not in a position to give
And
anybody any advice about life
I myself-
when you're sitting alone in a home with your dog, and your daughter that visits you once in a while. That's the only thing that you have in this world.
That's all I got.
No wonder
Is that
you
it?
hate God, Sidney. You hate God because your life fucking sucks.
Oh, now for you,
And that's
God
got nothing to do
exists.
with God. That's all on you.
I think you're projecting a little bit, sir.
No, I'm not projecting.
Oh,
See how he brings up all this bullshit? He makes up stuff. I've got anxiety, so that's that's my fault, and he's gonna call me on it. Okay, he knows absolutely nothing about my life. He makes stupid statements. You sit inside your home all day and you never go. Fuck all. So I seem to be prodding him to the point where he's going to explode. The question is, according to the video, there's 2 minutes left. So he's got 2 minutes to explode. So considering he's got 2 minutes to explode, I got 2 minutes to wait. Let's explore.
That's
yes,
it.
you are.
fucked up.
You're the one.
Yeah,
You're the
blaming
one
God
who's
for what
very
you
angry.
blame
You're the
God
one.
for
You're
what
the one.
you did to yourself. You are responsible.
Look,
You made yourself the person that you are now.
Now
God
you're
had
sounding.
nothing to do with
Now
that.
you're embarrassing yourself, dude.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about me being embarrassed
I'm
because you
not
don't
worried
care. So
about
don't
it,
act
but
like
you
you
are
do.
embarrassing yourself, and you've
For who?
invited.
For who? For who? I'm not embarrassing myself.
Dude, listen. You've
Oh.
said your piece, and you said you were gonna leave and not come back. That would be great.
You see, that's. I mean, you can kick me, you piece of chicken shit.
I'm not gonna kick you.
Kick me.
I want you to
You
leave. You
fucking Zionist
you-
piece of trash. Because that's what you are. You are a
Listen to you.
Zionist. You are a
Okay, so
Zionist. You're a Zionist piece of trash, and that's why you hate Muslims.
You're a bigot.
And let me tell you something. It wasn't the Muslims that built those concentration camps. It wasn't the Muslims that gassed 6 million people.
So tell me something. Then why didn't all the German citizens and all the Dutch citizens put on their
You go
their
ask
yellow?
them. I can
Go
only
ahead. Why
answer
didn't
for
they?
me.
Okay, I think you get the picture. I got it good. All that hatred, all that venom, all that acrimony, it just came out. Like I don't think he expected that to come out, but it all came out. Oh, that is funny. Anyway, James, fuck off. Nobody wants you. Nobody likes you. Even in the side chat there, nobody likes you. Nobody's on your side. You talk shit. You think you think you're some shit hot human being, but you're actually less than nothing. If you've got something to say, get your YouTube channel up and running and say it. But you know what? You won't, because you're either too stupid or too cowardly, or both. I'll go with both. I'm not too sure which stands out more, your stupidity or your cowardice. But I'll take a flying guess. I would say your stupidity, because that's glaring. Absolutely glaring. The shit that you come up with. I mean, if you weren't stupid, you wouldn't be an extreme misogynist. That's a sign of stupidity right there. And for you to claim that I hate God, when you know very well that we both, well, maybe you now, you've changed your mind, but you know very well that God doesn't exist. God is imaginary. So to say I hate God, it doesn't exist, is you just not using any common sense, not using any form of critical or rational thinking. You just blah blah. You're just a blabbermouth. You just want to be motormouth. So there you go, James Henry. You're toast, mate. Now, that was a lot of fun. Do I want to... Let me see. What's all this about? What's this? No, that's not it. I think I do want to bring up one more time the fact that the Google Meet room is open. How come that's not it? Hold on a sec. This is an issue. I better back it up with some music while I figure it out. Alrighty, let's see how this works out. I got a little clip here for you. Especially for you, James Henry. This is you'll love this one.
The strange story of Hitler's Arab and black soldiers begins not in Europe but in Iraq in April 1941, when some pro-German Iraqi officers overthrew the pro-British royal regime. Hoping to foment a wider revolt against the British in Iraq, the new government invited German and Italian forces into the country, particularly German Luftwaffe aircraft. The British could not permit such a threat to develop in Iraq. The go-between helping the rebels was the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Amin al-Husseini, who had been on the run from the British for years. The Grand Mufti was the Sunni Muslim cleric in charge of Jerusalem's Islamic holy places, and a very important figure among Arab nationalists. In May 1941, the British invaded Iraq and defeated the rebels. The Grand Mufti and many Arab sympathizers managed to reach Europe. In Greece, the Germans started to raise German Arab units. One of these, Sonderverband 287, was broadly named the Free Arabian Legion, and made up of Iraqi and Syrian Muslims who hated the British and French, as well as former prisoners of war, including black Africans from French colonies. They joined for a variety of reasons. Some were nationalists, some just wanted a job and regular pay, and some bought into the Nazis' anti-Semitism. You would have thought the Germans would have difficulties in recruiting such soldiers, as they classified these troops as Untermenschen or subhumans, as is shown by the racist commentary in this World War II German newsreel.
Tagen noch erklärte Chamberlain einem Amerikaner gegenüber, dass England und seine Verbündeten sich als Treuhänder der Zivilisation im Kampfe gegen mittelalterliche Barbarei fühlten. Das sind also die Treuhänder der Kultur.
But the Germans needed anyone who would fight, and the race issue was quietly ignored, though attached German officers did not rate the Free Arabian Legion as much of a fighting force. It wasn't really trusted and was mostly used to fight partisans and guard rear areas. The unit's 3rd Battalion took part in the German offensive into the Caucasus in the Soviet Union in September 1942. It was planned that they would enter Iraq as the Wehrmacht advanced. That never happened, and the battalion went instead to Tunisia, where it successfully recruited more Arabs to a reserve guard battalion. However, the entire force was captured when the Axis surrendered in North Africa in May 1943. Some Arab volunteers and French Muslims were formed into German Arab Battalion 845 in mid-1943. Sent to Greece, the battalion combated Greek partisans. In October 1944, it was sent to Yugoslavia and strengthened by another battalion of Arab volunteers in early 1945. It ended the war near Zagreb. The 1st and 2nd Battalions of the Free Arabian Legion were used to replace combat losses. In June 1944, they became Grenadier Regiment 92 and also fought partisans in Yugoslavia. In May 1945, they disappeared into the chaos of Austria as the German army fell apart. However, this is not the end of the story of Muslim involvement with Germany's World War II armed forces. Heinrich Himmler, Reichsführer SS, always keen to expand his SS, would seek to recruit European Muslims from Yugoslavia into his forces. But the story of the Muslim SS is for another time. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also help support my channel at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box.
Well then, there you go, eh? Hey, James. What do you think of them? What do you think of them apples, James? You woman hater, you. Do you think that the difference between a misogynist and a non-misogynist is whether you've struck a woman in your life, or whether you've even threatened a woman in your life? No, you don't have to have struck a woman.
You don't have to have even threatened a woman to be a misogynist, James. So don't think that you making statements like, I'm not a misogynist, I've never struck a woman in my life. You think that is going to help you? No. You're still a misogynist. It's your words. The words that come out of your mouth that could make you a misogynist. The fact that you specifically picked on the women as having no common sense when it comes to their bodily autonomy, but men you totally leave out of the picture. It's the men, in case you don't know this. I don't know if you've actually ever been explained the birds and the bees, but this is the way it works. It's the men who make the women pregnant. Did you get that? I'm going to repeat it. James Henry. It is the men who make the women pregnant. All right. So when it comes to common sense and two people having sex, both should use common sense. And if neither of them use common sense, then the situation could turn out to be rather negative, which are the ones you're pointing out and blaming the women. You fucking misogynist. Too bad you can't come in here and defend yourself because you've pretty much burned that bridge. That's on you. You're a coward. You're an absolute coward. I tell you something. If I was standing right in front of you, pow! I'd just fucking take you down. There you go. You're done. So, sleep well. Boop. I can see all those little birds swirling around your head in my post smack you down imagination. The nice thing about people like James Henry is that they're too stupid to know that they're being trolled all the time. The dumb of men like James Henry just gets dumber over time. And if you read the rhetoric in the side chats, or even if you listen, I mean, you heard him. Threats and bullshit and bragging and how he's so smart and how he can't even fucking argue his way out of a paper bag, for fuck's sake. You remember I gave him this thought experiment, and he was so caught up in himself that he couldn't and wouldn't even accept the thought experiment. It's a fucking thought experiment. Just like the thought experiment where, okay, there's a train coming down the track and you're at the switch, and if the train goes straight, there's 5 people on the track and they die. If you pull the switch, the train will switch to another track where there's only one person, and only the one person will die. What will you do? Are you going to just leave the thing so it can go and kill the 5 people, or are you going to pull the switch to kill the one person? It's a simple thought experiment. You know, you can think through it if you like, loudly. But when I proposed the thought experiment with the Christians, you just went off your fucking nut, trying to weasel your way out of having to give an answer. You're not a very nice person. And the sooner we're rid of you from this platform, then the happier we will be. Because you're taking up fucking space. You're taking up digital space in the side chat, James Henry. And you know that digital space is not cheap. Okay? You're costing me money, my man. You're using up digital space in my chat. All right. The room, as I will show you. How come I can't show you? I can't show you the room. You know why? Because oh, there it is. All right, so the room is open. There it is. Anyone can join. I'll give you the call-in information. There it is. And I'm going to look for something else to embarrass your friend, our friend James Henry with, if you just stick around and listen to the tunes.
And we want to understand. And we want to understand what is happening right now in Israel, and basically we want to talk about the Israeli Arab society. Who is the Israeli Arab society? What is the role of the Israeli Arab society in this wave of terror or in this wave of violence? Ayman Siksik has the latest for us.
1.6 million Arabs live in Israel, according to the Israeli Statistics Agency in 2013. But 2 weeks of intense attacks on Israelis, mainly by residents of East Jerusalem, have once again categorized all of Israel's Arab population as part of one community, and as such, part of the same threat.
Here people who want to live with you, but you don't can to like us Democrats, we can outside to say we want peace or something. Because if he told like this, he kill him. The Arabic kill Arabic.
But who makes up these 1.6 million people? Muslims make up the largest part of the Arab community in the country and account for over 1.3 million people. 20% of them live in Jerusalem. Those who live in East Jerusalem are under Israeli sovereignty, but largely identify as Palestinians. East Jerusalem, the highly contested part of the city, is also where the perpetrators of most of the recent stabbing attacks originate from. For those who want to carry on with their everyday lives, concerns have shifted from financial hardship to personal safety.
Regarding the economic situation, it is no longer important. The security situation is far more important these days than the economic situation. The biggest worry is no longer work, it is the security situation. You leave your home and you can't wait to get to the shop. You leave the shop and you can't wait to get to your home.
The situation is equally complicated for the Israeli Druze. Numbering some 140,000 residents in Israel, most of them serve in the Israeli army. But around 30,000 are residents of the Golan Heights, a highly sensitive region between Israel and Syria. Though they are considered Israeli citizens, some of them identify as Syrian. But even for the loyalists, a crisis was inevitable when Israel began caring for the Kurdish fighters who came through its borders as a result of the battles in Syria. For the Druze living in Israel, this was a betrayal of their loyalty to their homeland. But perhaps the most disenfranchised Muslim community in Israel is the Bedouin community. totaling around 280,000 in 2013, large parts of the Bedouin community live in settlements considered illegal by the State of Israel. The most controversial of which is Al-Araqib, a Bedouin village in the Negev razed more than a dozen times by Israeli police in the past year.
They claim Bedouins are nomads, that they shouldn't have just one place to live, but today it's Al-Araqib, and tomorrow it will be Tel Aviv.
The residents of Al-Araqib symbolize to a great extent the struggle of the Arab community in Israel at large. Faced with tense relations with the state, they too have nowhere else to go.
Yes, let's try to understand with the gentleman that I have right now here in the studio, what is the situation of the Israeli Arabs and what is the role that they are taking in this current wave of conflicts, let's say. I'm a 60 I-24 News correspondent. Thank you very much for coming.
Good evening.
And also Sami Abu Shahad, Secretary General at the Ballot Party, Tel Aviv, Jaffa. Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you
For coming. And Dr. Ramzi Halami, economist and also an analyst on I-24 News. Thank you very much for coming. Let me start with you, Dr. Abu Shahad. I'm trying Mr. Abu Shahad, I'm trying to understand how come it's always deteriorating on both sides recently? Like what is happening on the West Bank immediately is reflecting to what is happening inside with the Israeli Arabs.
And this is very easy. Israel invented something that never existed, calls the Arabs of Israel, in order to divide the Palestinian minority inside Israel from the rest of the Palestinian people. All the time, people all the time say, and all the time behave like Palestinians. And then everybody is surprised. Israel is insisting on its lie that this Palestinian minority have no national identity. And from the Israeli point of view, from the official Israeli discourse, the Arab minority inside Israel are not part of the Palestinian people. This is why all the time there's a kind of this surprise. Why are they behaving like Palestinians? Now everybody knows that these are and part of the Palestinian people. This is how the way people see themselves. This is their national identity. This is why what's happening is totally normal. And when you are killing their people, when their most sacred place, Al-Aqsa Mosque, is being all the time attacked, when there's a chance to change the status quo there, people will behave like part of these people.
But do you think really that what is happening right now on the streets is absolutely normal?
I think what's happening in the street, not just it's not normal, it is much less than what should happen. Because in
much
Israel,
less than what should happen?
Yeah, of course. First of
do
all,
you think that more people should be stabbed and more people should be killed and more people should...
Hello. How are you?
Are you talking to me? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm in the room now. We'll talk with you.
There was a while there at 666 in the stream before. It wasn't me.
When?
I've just been onto the YouTube thing. There was a while there at 666. I haven't used that name for ages. That whoever that wasn't me.
Okay, there was a recording anyway.
All right. I've just been through the thumbnails on. I was going to start my own stream up. But I've just seen like my icon and while that 666. That wasn't me. I've not been in your streams today at all.
No, that wasn't from today. That was from a long time ago.
Right,
no, not a long time ago, but days ago.
No, it says live on the live stream. James Henry was in. It says live.
Yeah, there was taped live. But James
so
Henry.
You played in an old show.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thank God for that. I thought someone was impersonating.
No.
All right. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, you're off the hook.
Cool.
Yeah.
I thought someone was impersonating me and come in on the mic.
You're a free man.
Cool. So what have you been up to? Don't let me interrupt you if you're in the middle of something.
No, I've been talking about the one-state solution in the Middle East with Israel for a while. I've been discussing secular Zionism and how I think it's the best solution for the Middle East.
So, I'll admit to not being an expert, so I can't really comment out on my opinions. Yeah, I don't really know about that.
But at least you're not saying stuff that you're not saying stuff as if you know, like
I'm genuinely ignorant on the topic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is fair enough. Yeah.
So are you doing, Winston? Good to speak to you again. And I apologise. I think I might have fell asleep during our last stream.
Yeah, you did. It was okay.
I wanted to just come in to apologise for that as well.
No, it's okay. I understand. No big deal. It didn't interrupt the flow.
Right.
Not at all. Let me see if I can get my camera to work here. Just give me one. Oh, there we go. Camera is working.
That's a good looking man I'm used to. Thank you very much.
That's a different camera. Hello, kitty cat. I got a kitty cat. Hello. Ah, I see what's going on. There's a dog and the cat. Okay. The dog likes to eat when the cat is around.
Yeah.
The cat is around and the dog's bowl is empty. So she's looking at me as if to say,
yeah.
You know the cat's here, right? And you know what happens when the cat's here? How is my bowl empty? So I should go and quickly put something in there for her. I'll be right back. I'll just leave the camera on. I'll just mute.
No problem. Like I say, I'm just catching up on the topic, so I'm going to ask Sidney when he gets back to explain the Israeli-Palestine conflict to me from a complete newbie's position. I have no idea about that. So that's what's going to happen. Yeah, so basically, I hope people on. I'm not sure. I'm not used to using Google Meet. I'm used to StreamYard, so I'm not sure whether people on YouTube can see me at the moment. But I saw my icon. I was going through, the thumbnail on YouTube, and it had my icon on them while that's 66. So, like I said, I thought someone was impersonating me, but it's no video, so that's fine. So what do I know about Israeli-Palestine conflict? Basically, all I know is that the Great Britain created Israel. Is it Israel or Palestine? Did we create? Last thing I know is back.
Hey, yes, I'm still there.
Yes. I've been keeping your audience entertained with my lack of knowledge of Israeli-Palestine. Yeah. Basically, I didn't know Great Britain created one of the two. I'm not sure it's Israel or Palestine. Did Great Britain, after the Second World War, did we create Israel or Palestine?
You didn't create anything. You were given the mandate for Palestine.
Right.
You were made the policeman of Palestine.
Right.
But you fucked it up. You have fucked it up bad.
that makes sense, actually. Yeah. So I'm a novice on the Israeli-Palestine conflict.
It's okay. After we get through our series, you will be an expert.
Cool. I look forward to it.
So, questions are always good. If you haven't.
I will have a lot of those. Yeah.
Oh, Cryptomaria is in the side chat. Hey, Crypto, how you doing? Do you want to come in and tell us how you feel about misogynists in general, or one specifically?
Are there any particular people you're railing against at the moment, Sidney? Are there any people you?
I'm having fun with James Henry. He's like a mouse. He's like a mouse, and I'm the cat.
Yeah, just batting him around.
Yeah, just exactly.
Yeah.
So he's fun to troll because he takes it so seriously. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like he I think he gets shocked when he realizes how people see through him. You know, he likes to come across as a big hero, but he's really just a gormless, spineless jellyfish.
I will have to admit my ignorance on James Henry. Is he a Christian apologist of some kind?
He was in when you were watching yourself earlier. He was in the chat. He was in the chat.
I've not seen the video.
You left. You left, and then he let out with his woman hating and his Jew hating and his Zionist hating, and he's just a hateful person, full of hate.
Hates everyone who doesn't agree with him. Basically, I know that kind of person.
Yeah. He's kind of like that. Very full of himself. Very full of himself for no reason.
Yeah, yeah. So, have you found using Google Meet?
I love it. Just love it.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any restrictions on people who can join? Or
I don't believe so. 100 maybe. I don't know, but I'm not.
Oh, brilliant!
But no.
I'm thinking of using it. Can you give me any tips? How you get it started at streaming to YouTube? Because I stream a lot on my channel, by the way, nowadays. So if you ever want to check me out, but
it's just like you're streaming another window when you're streaming, like when you stream you using OBS or whatever you use. What do you use?
Do you need OBS? I just use StreamYard, so it's kind of just a website.
Exactly. When you use StreamYard, it's just another window.
Right. Cool. I'll check that out and see if I can do that.
I use OBS, so I don't know what. I don't think I've ever used StreamYard.
Yeah, basically you get 20 hours free, and then you have to create another account. Yeah. And then, so I'm on my about 8th or 9th account by now.
Yeah, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah.
If they don't want to supply me with what I need in order to do a hangout, then I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, that is a sensible option.
And here I am.
I'm going to actually make my next, if I can figure it out, I'll make my next Hangout Google Meet and see how that works out.
Yeah.
It does seem a good way to do it. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of StreamYard, not that I've ever used it, but I've watched lots of people live streaming with StreamYard, and there's just no end of problems.
Yeah,
they seem to have.
All I can cutting out and all that. Yeah.
Now, problems I have are usually simply resource based because my computer's old. So if I had a stronger computer, my OBS would handle everything just perfectly, and there wouldn't be these crazy glitches. But you work with what you got.
Yeah, if that's the computer, then that would happen with anything. So like I say, you got to use what you can. Exactly. What works best for you? Yeah.
Exactly.
And I would like Cryptomania to come into the chat as well. I've spoken to her in text, but never person to person. So
Cryptomania, your presence.
That would be.
Your presence is your presence is requested.
Yeah, not required, but requested. Yeah.
It's requested by an English gentleman.
Thank you very much.
And believe he would like to have a few words with you.
Yes, I'll take them to task. I'm not joking.
No, you'll be very respectful.
Yeah, I will.
Because Cryptomeria is my friend.
Yeah. I would like to. Is it a male or female? I've never known. I've only spoken to her inside. I said her. I've never spoken to them inside chat.
Well, Cryptomeria, are you male or female today?
Just gonna get some things for Mr. Cigarettes.
Maybe if she comes into the room and talks to you a bit, maybe you can judge for yourself.
Yeah, can figure it out. Yeah. It's just I like to know whether it's he or she before I say he or she. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
I don't want to.
That's so honourable of you. You and Prince Andrew, I tell you, cut from the same cloth.
I wish I had his money.
You wish if you had his money, you'd have his troubles too.
Yeah.
And I would not want to have Prince Andrew's fucking troubles. Thank you very much.
No, I wouldn't want to have his face either. He has a very punchable face, I find. I'm not a fan of the royals. I hate the royal family. I think they should all be shot. That might be going a bit far, but
that's very Bolshevik of you.
Yeah, I think we should get rid of them at the very least. Not necessarily.
How do you mean get rid of them? What's going to happen to Buckingham Palace?
Maybe take it over, make it into a hospital or
okay.
A home for the homeless. Make it into a. Yeah, I think we should take all our money and just leave them.
Well, then what's stopping Britain from doing it, or England from doing it, or from what's stopping the whole monarchy thing? If everybody hates it so much, then English people aren't afraid to stand up for what they want. So what the fuck? Why are they not? Why are they just yapping? I don't like that monarchy. They should be.
Yeah, we should take a stand. But basically, they have no power whatsoever. They have no political rule whatsoever.
So
they have no say in anything.
So
and yeah, we're still paying for them. We're still
they're part of England. Wouldn't be England without them.
It would because they're all German. The German alien lizard.
It's funny.
Yeah. They just stole the name Windsor because it sounded English.
Well, it's quite funny. It's quite funny that the rest of their, all of Europe was kind of one family, right? The Germans, the Russians, the
Russians,
the Austrians, they're all the one family, and it's only the British that are left.
Yeah, yeah.
With
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's because you guys like your queen. You guys are like your monarchy. Your monarchy, your monarchy is like what television used to be. It was like to take your mind off the humdrum of life and the monotony and just the shittiness of life. There's you got the queen, you got some pomp and ceremony. And it's nationalistic. It's England, rah rah rah.
I think that's a lot of it. Yeah, I am probably in the minority of not liking the royal family, but yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, but when there's a ceremony, when the queen goes riding down the street in a gold carriage, do you watch it, or what do you do? Do you?
I watch it and get very, very annoyed. Yeah.
Right.
That annoys me more than anything. Yeah.
Right. But people don't riot in the streets about it. People are waving flags. Yay!
No. Yeah.
So I don't think that the monarchy is in big trouble.
No, I don't think they're in danger of getting overthrown or anything, but they should be, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, I'm not party to the to the inner workings, or I'm not near to English culture that much that I can actually have an opinion other than my opinion from out here in the English diaspora.
The colonies.
Yeah, now I grew up in a colony, so the Queen has always been a feature in my life in terms of me knowing that she's the Queen.
Yeah, and how do you feel about that? Do you think? Because I'm
kind of a little jealous that I wasn't born into that, because if I was born into that, my life would be pretty much a party.
Yeah.
And I'm all into that. I hate taking life seriously and doing things like the grind and the work and the routine and
yeah. not having servants to do everything for you.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
What's wrong with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I would admit, from like doing an internal critique of the royal family, if you were in the royal family, it would be great. But for everyone else, we're kind of paying for it in the UK, which is a bit I don't.
Yeah, but
agree
also,
with.
doesn't the royal family employ a whole bunch of people, and there's a whole sort of
Yeah.
like they employ people, and they also have suppliers, and there's a lot of people who make their living off of the royal family.
Yeah, that is true. It will be interesting to find out whether the royal family actually produce more economic kind of wealth and benefit than
it's like when the United States opens up a naval station somewhere, either whether it's in the United States or on another country, the local population, the economy improves for the local population, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hello. No.
Your servants? Is that your maid?
That's my dog's boyfriend's mother.
Right. Hello.
Are you taking Tommy home? Okay. Okay, Tommy, my dog's boyfriend has gone home.
Your dog's boyfriend.
Yeah, has been picked up. 10:30. Yeah, I guess that's enough of them. Good girl. Now she's eating her food. So the night has gone well for the animals.
Cool. So I am gonna leave you alone, Sidney Winston. But I'm gonna try and start up a hangout on my channel using Google Meet. So if you'd like to join at any point when this ends, everyone keep watching this. But I'm gonna start up. And see if
I'm gonna. No one else is coming in. So I'm either going to end it, or I'm gonna just watch the rest of this video because it looked very promising. And I might play another one, or I might end it, depending on what transpires.
Everyone keep watching this. Keep watching Sidney Winston. But I'm going to try and set up Google Meet Hangout on my channel and see if I can figure that out. So thanks very much, Sidney Winston. Right. I appreciate it, and I shall watch right now. Cheers.
No problem. Thanks for coming by.
No problem. Cheers.
Alrighty, so we are on our own one more time. Okay, so now I don't understand why this thing doesn't work properly. Oh, there we go. So let's just carry on with this what we were watching before. It looked like they were getting kind of heated. So let's just let's see, slide in there, and we can get it going.
Be lose their lives because of this?
Who mentioned violence? And if you
but
ask me
this is what is happening right now. What do you mean?
First of all,
violence? This is what is happening right now on the streets.
Statistically, the Arab-Palestinian minority inside Israel is the most and is the most quiet national minority all over the world. And in most of the political research lately done in the last 2 decades in political sciences all over the world, the main question is why is this national minority so quiet? And it's discriminated in all fields of life. And they are suffering in all fields of life. And there is racism towards them in everything. And they are politically very quiet. What I meant that they are not doing enough, I'm talking about only legal political behavior. I'm against violence. I don't think that violence is a good solution. Surely not in this balance of power. And if we will anytime deteriorate into violence, those who will be paying a very high price will be the Palestinians, because Israel have total control of all the armed forces.
Well, maybe some Arabs inside Israel are being quiet politically because they do feel Israeli, contrary to what we are hearing right now. I think a lot of Arabs inside Israel do identify with their Israeli identity. We go to Israeli universities, we carry out our everyday lives within Israel, in Hebrew, We are part of Israeli society. I'm not sure that the Palestinian heritage and history are as big a part, or they constitute the entire part of our identity. I'm not sure of that at all, not for all of us. Maybe this is why we're not being dragged into violence or other politically volatile expressions.
You know, this is a specific...
I take the pragmatic axis, and I can tell you that today I participated in conference with Arab and Jewish mayors, with the Interior Minister Silvan Shalom, and all of them talked about shared society, to make things together, to stop the violence, and they took...
Hello.
Hello, Sidney and Winston. Sorry for interrupting your video. I've been watching it live. Basically, I've come back for technical advice.
What's that?
I made a Google Meet hangout. I don't know how to link it to my YouTube account, so I'm streaming on YouTube at the same time.
That's what OBS is for.
You need OBS. I thought it might be that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just check in. I'm gonna have to download and so I'll say OBS then. That's what that's for.
Well.
Yeah. Sorry, interrupting again.
Well, it's okay. I'm just wondering whether you shouldn't just stick with StreamYard.
I will do that for now and look into OBS and get some instant tips.
Yeah. Now, if you're gonna go live like now, whatever, then stick with what you know, and what works.
All right. Sorry for interrupting. I appreciate that.
No problem whatsoever. Go. That's fine.
All right. See you later.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Later.
More about the budget and the 5-year plans and the way that we can live together for long. So I think that on the other side we have the extreme approach of people that want to make this a problem, maybe a religious war or something like that. But inside Israel, I think most of the Arab leadership, and I heard them talking now today, they want this kind of living together and make things together.
Do you see that? Because you see, you portrayed a picture right now that is...
Let me explain what is the difference between me and Mr. Siksik. And most of the people who are talking about the Palestinian identity inside Israel do distinction between two things. First of all, your national and spiritual identity, to what do you affiliate and spiritually, and then your technical daily life. In general, of course, the vast majority, not small minority, of the Palestinians in Israel, they don't have any other choice but to deal with the state of Israel, deal with the Israelis. They don't have any other choice, and technically, they do all these things. And Israel is a sovereign state.
Why do you think that it's technically? Why do you think, Mr. Abu Shari, that it's technically? Why do you
tell you what the polls say. It's not what I think.
Why do you think that the fact
polls,
that
we have a lot of public opinion polls who ask the people, okay,
who
in different things.
Who are you asking?
In general, they pick different number of people, depends on each poll, and you ask them about their, how do they deal with their identity in things that got to do with daily life.
But you know what you're doing right now.
And if you ask them if Palestine is playing football with Israel,
Mr. Abu Shari, what you are doing
they
right
will
now.
tell you they want Palestine to win.
But what you're doing right now, Mr. Abu Shari, what you're doing, Mr. Abu Shari, what you're doing right now is also generalizing an entire society upon your own point of view. This is not how it happens on the field. On the field, you have different fractions. You have different views in the Arab society. You have left, you have right. You have some people who identify themselves with the state of Israel and some people who don't identify themselves with the state of Israel.
Which is bigger than 1 million people, you have a lot of different views.
Yes.
But still, there's a huge amount of research done when we are talking about the identity of the Palestinian minority inside Israel. There's a huge amount done also on the side inside the Israeli University. I'm telling you that in general, most of this research, and it's built mainly on public opinions, polls, says that the majority of the youth inside the Palestinian society, inside Israel, when they deal about with their identity, they deal with it as a Palestinian identity. Of course, there is part of these people who think that they are Israeli. Of course, there are people who don't care about the both identities, not the Palestinian, not the Israeli identity. They want to be part of something much bigger. And there's a lot of different opinions. But in general, the majority, this is how they define themselves.
Yeah, maybe the other people who wants to be part of something bigger are maybe the more extreme part.
Well, even if we, and I see myself as defining myself as Palestinian as well, but that doesn't entail many of the things that Mr. Abu Shahada said. I mean, this was also the point of view of Balad to a great extent, and in the recent elections, because of the new restrictions on the percent which you need to get into the government, all the Arab parties had to join together to get in. So I think there's loss of support for this kind of view within the Arab community in Israel.
Not only loss of support, the Arab sector needed to actually, like Ayman is saying, combine forces in order to be and to get a chance to have an influence. And yet there is an extreme range on the Arab leadership, because at the end of the day we are talking and not doing enough for the economy aspect, for the education, for the infrastructure, for our cities, for our own society itself.
Yeah, today the mayor of Nazareth, for example, said that we have to take the lead and to work to improve our situation in this country, instead of let the members of the Knesset to do the work. But if we are talking about the identity definition, so I define myself as Arab, Israeli, and I served in the army about 20 years. So even in this situation, if I go everywhere, the Jewish public cannot distinguish between me and Sami and other people.
And me, yes.
Yes, so in this atmosphere, in the emergencies, we have a lot of problems. So we need to calm, we need to relax the situation in order to talk together and to solve the problems.
Mr. Abu Shahada?
I don't think that the problem between the Israelis and the Palestinians is misunderstanding, Yalusi. I don't think that the problem between also the Palestinian leadership and the Israeli leadership is misunderstanding. Both sides knows exactly what does the other want. It's not a problem of language or not a problem of that people are not understanding each other. Everybody knows exactly what does the other want. Most of the Palestinian leadership are fighting for a two-state solution, and they want East Jerusalem to be their. Things are clear. The Israelis are refusing. All of the Arab world came twice in the last decade.
We're not talking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We are talking right now about a situation that at the end of the day, when this wave of violence will end, we, the Israelis who live inside Israel, the Israeli Palestinians, the Palestinians, Israeli Arabs, define it as you want, we will end up eating the S word, I will say it, I won't say the word itself. We will end up eating it because all the incitement of what is happening inside the Israeli Arab society also, and we cannot ignore it.
Or because you don't want to see that you are living in a racist society built on race, and you are discriminated because you are Palestinian.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing it and I'm watching it, believe me, each and every day. We're going out for a break. 10 minutes update, and then we will be back. Don't go anywhere.